The pre-show.
Hello, everyone. I didn't count you guys in. That's fine. That's how the show's gonna be. Welcome to the pre-show.
Thanks, bud.
Here for the 1st of May, the longest month, the second longest month. What was longer, March or April?
March.
March was longer.
Really?
And just moved though in April. She might have different differing
that's
opinions.
True.
Yeah.
That's true. I feel like the quarantine,
Well,
the quarantine didn't start until like March 20 something, right?
Some of us have been quarantining for all our lives, then. So
Yeah.
In California, it was the 11th that banned all like the large social gatherings, which is like the
11th?
only fun that I have. Yeah, and
Yeah.
what's crazy is the last time that I got to have fun was March 10th. I went to a music festival in San Diego, and I literally got back, and I was like, oh, sick. I guess that was it for the rest. So those last like 2 weeks sucked. They were so boring.
yeah. Well,
I like that you're like, that's the last time that I ever had fun, as though you can't have fun unless you're
It's
out
not
like doing stuff.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an interesting exercise for people who are like really extroverted. I actually was curious to like talk to you today because I was like thinking about it yesterday, how yesterday or the day before were like the first days that I was kind of like, okay, like now, it'd be cool to like go do things, but I don't really like go out a lot. So it's really when it started to hit me was like just this most recent week. And I know that
Right.
you go to a lot of events and stuff like that. So I'm sure this
Yeah.
must be longer.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it wouldn't be that bad, specifically because most of the day, every day, like I don't take like off days unless I'm gone. So most of the time I'm in my house, but I severely underestimated the amount of times per day I actually leave my house. Like in the morning, I'd go walk to get coffee. In the afternoon, I'd walk to go get like fresh ingredients to make dinner. And then
that sounds
after dinner,
exhausting. How do you do that to yourself?
everything's within a block. I live in the city, JP.
You're one of
It's
those city folk, as I
yeah,
thought.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
now we're just kind of like constantly in a state of like this kind of isn't that fun, but it doesn't suck. It's just like it's not that fun.
Yeah. Where I live, we're reopening Monday, somewhat. So
Here's the question: because you're reopening, that's great. Does that mean you're actually going to go anywhere?
absolutely not.
Right.
Yeah. No.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing will change from my point of view. But
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, I understand why the reopening stuff is happening. Like people need to work and are not able to. So that sucks for sure. It's a complicated issue. One far too highbrow, I think, for this show to get into.
You don't want to hear a bunch of streamers like macroeconomic discussion.
Yeah. It's pretty grim for a lot of people out there. So I get it. I understand all sides of it. But I won't be going out. But I'm one of the privileged folk that can stay inside and still work. So that's why. But other people, they can't. So that sucks. Anyways, on that cheery note, let's move on with the show. And I do want to give you guys the unofficial official rules of the show. We do have rules. Okay? You have to abide by them no matter how ridiculous they are. I'll read through them quickly. You guys can comment on them if you want. And then at the end, I have a surprise as well. The unofficial rules for the show. Number 1, no episode numbers, just show dates. Okay, that's why it's the episode for the 1st of May, 2020. Number 2, no insulting other cast members. This is a positive, feel-good show. I know both of you guys are some of the rudest people I know, so you got to keep it to yourselves. Don't get out of hand. Rule 2.5. During your shoutouts, you must promote with the same feel-good vibes why someone should watch the other people on the show with you. That's from Jesse Cox. That's a Jesse Cox rule per last episode. Number 3, make it up as you go along. Number 4, no gaming conversation unless there's something that you really just can't, like, you have to talk about. So I get it. I understand. It's what we do for a living, but try to keep it out of the gaming conversation. Number 5, no interrupting. Allowances are given for those on a delay. There's a little bit of delay here on the call, so I understand if you interrupt, but try to be polite as possible. Rule 5.5. In the introduction, every person on the show must list a movie that has made them cry. This is a Dodger rule, so I guess we're doing this right now. Jericho, what's a movie, or Ann? I see you struggling over there, Ann. What's a movie that has made you cry? Also,
Does it have
do
to
I
be
have to do,
recent or like just in my life?
just in your life? Also, do I have to do this every show? Because fuck this rule if that's the case.
Also, you said this is supposed to be a feel good show, and you're like, so tell us about what made
Look,
you cry.
this is a Dodger. I mean, you could cry and feel good.
What?
You
It's
know?
not Dodger show. It's your show.
No, it's
Come
a
on,
Dodger
Dave.
rule. It's a Dodger rule. You'll
Okay.
have, you'll have your chance. Jericho, you got a movie makes you cry. You don't have to explain
Yeah,
why. You could just state the movie.
Violet Evergarden, but like also like like I cry at like any movie that has any. It's a Violet Evergarden is an anime about a girl who loses both of her arms in the war and then is desensitized and has to learn how to write love letters for people by communicating her feelings.
Why
It's
the
heavy
fuck would you watch that? What the?
because it's incredible. Also, yeah, it's incredible, man. I don't know. It was really good. Yeah, bro, that whole entire I think it's 2 seasons. It's like 20 episodes of just crying every day. It's pretty tough.
Jesus.
But it's good. You should watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, wasn't it supposed to be a movie?
I mean,
It was a movie. I watched it last week. They
Oh.
had a movie.
Movie
Yeah.
and a show. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Been in the rules. I like it.
Okay. Mine is Bolt.
Like the animated movie about the dog.
Yeah.
I never saw that. What?
It's pretty
Yeah.
good.
What's it about?
It's like a dog that gets separated from his human and has to like find his way back to her. And it was right after one of my dogs had passed away that I saw it. And he passed away while I was living in another state because I went to college.
Mm.
And I cried in the theater. I was in a theater and I cried, which is big for me. And I was like, because I just was like, I abandoned my dog. My dog felt the same way, and now I'm seeing it on the movie. That was bad.
That's intense.
Thanks, Dodger, for
Yeah.
making me relive this. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
in the
great.
chat right now, so she's just over there smiling and drinking her coffee as she does. I don't know what I said last episode, so if there's repeating chat, I apologize. But as we see in the next rule, you got to just say it, even if there is repeating. I'll go with the Lord of the Rings, specifically the Return of the King, the end. That made me tear up, even though it was a little bit long. Like when they're up on the when the hobbits are up there and he says that line like "you bow to no one." If you're into that movie, man, that's a hell of a line. It's a really good fucking line. So
I just rewatched all the.
really,
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do that.
Yeah.
Did you
a
watch
great
the
moment.
extended versions?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
What am I, a casual?
Yeah, I
Come
know.
on.
No, I didn't think. I know you're hardcore to the bone, so I just had to ask. Jericho, you were gonna say something?
Yeah. Do you? Is it not? No, Anne said she doesn't cry in the movie theater often. However, I will cry pretty much at anything that has a main character dying. What about you?
What about me, or what about Anne?
Yeah. What about you, JP? We know where Anne
Oh,
stands
oh,
on the
oh, oh.
waterworks meter.
I think, and we talked about this last episode as well, with Jesse and Dodger. I think my explanation or my I don't know if I guess it would be a trigger for crying. It's literally like when there's an upswing of music, when there's a crescendo of music to like a powerful moment in a film, regardless of if it's sad or if it's like a fuck yeah type moment, that'll usually get me. Like I usually don't cry when people die or anything in movies or in TV shows and stuff like that. But usually if it's like a powerful moment and there's music involved, I think music is the most important aspect to forcing emotions, or is a great motivator to force emotions out of someone, for sure. So
Fair.
Yeah, I actually feel like I tear up at music, specifically, not even related to a movie or anything. Like just listening to music, I have moments like that where it like pulls on your heartstrings way more than I do with movies, and I don't know why.
Yeah, that's a good
For
point.
sure.
Yeah. Let's move on. This is a heavy show already. Let's move on with the rules.
Come on.
Rule number 6, you can't say we're going to save that for a show. There's no saving anything for another show. Number 7, don't go too hardcore into politics. Number 8, you have to explain jokes if a guest does not get it at all. Yes, we know this makes it worse. You just have to explain That's how it goes. Number 9, no saying I might have talked about this on another pre-show. Just say it and let the audience do the work. That's what I did earlier. Rule 9.5, don't talk too much about show ideas on the show. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have a great idea for content, don't talk about it. You should just do it instead. That's the rule there. For number 10, there's an explanation here, but I'll read the rule first. No choking on stroopwafels. All right? Don't choke on
Those are
stroopwafels.
great. Those are an incredible top. When you get on an airplane, specifically like Lufthansa, and they got stroopwafels, you already know your flight's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Love them.
Rami Ismail on the second show, I think, had an issue with the stroopwafel. So that
Had
was
an issue.
that was his rule. I hate this rule. Number 11, no talk of bodily functions, especially not other people's bodily functions. Rule number 12, end every episode with let's get the show started. That's on me. I failed it every time thus far. Rule number 13, any tweet about hashtag the pre-show has to use the official hashtag the pre-show. Okay. So anything afterwards. And rule number 13.999, there can't be more than 13 rules.
Okay.
Now here's
Wait,
the surprise. You guys have
Isn't 13? Sorry.
you guys can make 2 rules. You can replace 2 rules. You can throw in a number in like a fraction or a decibel, whatever you want to do. Doesn't have to be now. Could be sometime towards the end of the show.
Sure.
But if you got a rule,
That's why there's so many
Can I make
rules.
a rule? I
yeah.
got my rule.
Okay, here's the rule.
Rule number 1399 has to be 1299. Otherwise, you have more than 13 rules.
We have like a bunch of half rules though.
Yeah, but that's still more than JP. What's more, 12 or 12 and a half?
Well, it's no more than.
Okay, I didn't
I
come here
see
to
what
do
you're
math
saying.
here.
I see what you're saying. So you're saying rename
That's my
rule 13.999 to 12.999.
12.99. Yeah.
Okay, that's a simple rule. We can do it. I'll allow it.
Yeah. Oh.
Mods can. By the way, if you want to follow along on the rules, it's the pre.show/rules.html.
Okay, what was
love it.
Dodger's rule about the crying movie thing?
Dodger's
What number
rule
was that?
was rule. Where's this at? Oh, 5.5. In the introduction, every person on the show must list a movie that has made them cry.
5.5?
Yeah, in a half fractions, not 5.5.
I was just thinking if we could do like 5 and I don't know. Well, you said it's not 5.5, it's 5.5,
Mm-hmm.
5 and 3/4 or something. That you have to list a movie or a TV show that has made you cry from laughing, not
Okay,
just
so
crying.
should it be like a sub rule of 5.5?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sub rule then, mods. 5 3/4. For Anne. Name a movie that has made you cry from laughter.
That's a good pivot on the rule. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm
That's good.
I'm waiting for somebody to make a rule 9 3/4 or something Harry Potter-esque.
Maybe. Maybe we'll do a Harry Potter show. Yeah. We'll
Just
have
do
a
that right
show.
now. You can make 2 rules.
No, you only get 1 rule. Although you
Oh, I
could
thought
take
you
your
were-
rule back if you want to take your rule back, Jericho.
No, my
Okay.
rule is very important. Very important.
It's very important. All right, those rules will get changed. And I guess actually we should probably answer Anne's question. What's the rule that's made you guys cry from laughter? And do you have one right out of the gate with the rule you came up with?
God, I don't know. It reminded me actually of the only time my grandma never could stay awake through a movie ever. Her entire life. Every time we watched a movie, she would always fall asleep. Doesn't
Okay.
matter how interesting the movie was, whatever. The only movie she has ever stayed awake the entire time through the whole thing was Rush Hour. Because she thought it was
Really?
Yeah.
It's a pretty
Nice.
good movie.
I don't know why. It didn't make me cry from laughing. I thought it was funny, but like that always reminds me
Right.
of the fact that she for some reason that kept her awake.
She was into it. It. Jericho?
Yeah. Mine's gonna be a little weird. It was Cats the movie. So I saw Cats in theaters with
Now, Were
it was-
you sober?
no, that was the other half. It was called a rowdy screening at an ale house. So we went with a bunch of my friends, and it wasn't even that bad or that. I mean, it was awful, but it wasn't like so. And I saw pre-editing, so you could see like their dicks through like their skin suits, and they had human hands. Like it was bad, but it wasn't like it was kind of uncomfortable, and it made me cry laughing several times. It was
Okay.
just weird.
All right. Do you recommend everyone sees Cats at least once in their life?
No,
Okay.
no. I think that
I've been thinking
that
of
movie,
watching it.
like
I've been thinking of like
the
getting,
movie is.
you know.
I mean, you can handle it. Like, right? I think if you go into it with the mindset, I am going to take it at face value, and you have a couple drinks, and you just get to the perfect, like, this is absurd, and you just get to talk over it with people you care about, fine. But if you're going to just sit down and like take some acid and watch it alone, it's not going to be like, it's not, the movie's just bad. It's not like The Room. where it's so bad
Sure.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's just awful.
Well, that takes time, right? Like the reason that the room is so bad it's incredible is because time has passed and people have realized that it was so bad. Cats is just like a
Sure.
modern day failure at the moment on all fronts, and so I think over time it'll become that potentially.
I want I will buy the director's edition or like the full edition of the Sonic movie if they include a director's cut with the pre-rendered fixed Sonic in it. Like, right?
Oh,
I
that probably has to
really want
exist, right?
see that.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
Twitch just died. We're recording though, so that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Twitch.
Man, Twitch is just having the tough time this past couple of days.
I was about to say.
They're just getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just straight up dead.
Wrap it up, Twitch. Wrap it up, Twitch.
I'm actually surprised it's lasted this long with how long the quarantine's been going on and everyone's been home
On
and everything.
site,
So,
yeah.
like the fact that it's only been the past couple of days that it started dying is pretty good.
Yeah.
Right.
And are you gonna go with Rush Hour? Is that your answer, or are you gonna skirt by your own rule?
I just can't think of the last time that I actually cried laughing. Like
Really?
Okay, no, I can think of a time, but it's not related to a movie.
I mean, we can go with that. You're already laughing about it, so
Yeah, just because I was so stupid. I don't know what happened. I just moved into this house,
okay.
and there's like a shitload of boxes and stuff in the garage, and I was pulling into the garage, and my car has that thing where it beeps when it tells you if you're getting too close to something,
Right.
either in the front or your back. So I'm pulling in straight ahead. My girlfriend's standing at the door of the garage watching me pull the car in.
Uh-huh.
And for some reason, I don't know why, it's like my car doesn't really like creep up slowly. It's like you're either going fast or you're not moving at all. And I just slammed into the boxes right in front of the car. And my car is just like beep, 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 like screaming at me as I just like bump into these boxes. I mean, it wasn't like that hard. And I just look over, my girlfriend's like, because I just drove so fast.
Were the boxes
the
okay?
front
Did you
Yeah,
ruin
it was
the
fine.
insides?
It was
Okay.
just random crap. But it was
Okay.
just one of those moments where I actually started crying laughing because I was just like, that was so fucking stupid of me. And I don't know what happened in my brain that I was just like, yeah, it's fine. I'll just floor it.
Yeah, that makes
I don't
sense.
know.
I get it. What's a movie that's made me cry from laughter? I mean, I laugh pretty easily, especially if I'm in a goofy place. I was watching. There was a documentary on Leslie Nielsen, who's a comedic actor who's done like Airplane, and he's the old guy with the silver hair and like Airplane. Who's really deadpan.
I know what you're talking about.
Leslie Nielsen, yeah. Naked Gun is the other series that he's super famous for. There's a 20-minute documentary that was kind of celebrating him. And I went back and watched a lot of different clips from all the different movies he was in. So that was pretty good. He'll get me laughing just because of how ridiculous he is. So, but I laugh at a lot of random shit. It's just how it goes. And you mentioned moving into the house. One of the things I want to talk to you about is that exactly. How was that whole thing? I've recently purchased a house, at least in the past 2 years. You recently got one here in LA. How is that? How's home ownership for you? Have you already seen 1,000 things you want to change, or are you still getting adjusted?
I have never in my life been more excited to change my toilet seats in a house. I got so excited.
Did you get some Japanese toilet seats?
No, I didn't get like fancy ass like, I don't know. I just got the ones that like my old house had the ones that close all slow, you know?
Oh, so they
And
don't
then this
slam?
this one has just like the normal ones.
Yeah.
And every time I would go to the bathroom, like 2 times a day, I would just like slam the thing because I forgot that it wouldn't do the slow close.
Sure.
So it was like deafening myself because I would just slam the shit out of the toilet seat every time. So I was like, all right, that's it. Like I'm going to Home Depot. I like ordered it online, curbside pickup, some toilet seats, and I replaced all of them, and it's great. So, but
That's
yeah,
incredible.
it's definitely, it's nice. Like I'm the type of person who likes to fix things myself anyways. So
you got
if
a lot
there's
of
things that
problems
need
then to
be-
fix.
No, I mean the house house is great. It's like there's not a lot to fix. It's just that
Not
I
yet.
like doing that stuff myself. Like, and so and like changing things and that kind of stuff. So I'm excited about it because I like to do that stuff.
See,
I've installed like all sorts of like security stuff and
Well, that's good. I was the same way until like I finally thought I was settled in, And then I looked up at a light and saw that like the drywall was a little bit over the lip, and it's like, fuck, I should probably fix that light. Like maybe if I just wouldn't, I could probably do that. And then a week later, I was at the hardware store finding out how to like fix a drywall bump
Yeah.
on a light that was 12 feet up on the ceiling. So you'll find them eventually. I think you'll find the stuff. Have you seen things you want to change already? Like, have you thought about remodeling it all? Or
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, there's actually a bathroom attached to my office over here
okay,
that I was thinking of having
Ooh.
that taken out because I'm never going to use that bathroom when I'm streaming because that terrifies me. So there's another bathroom
you're
right in
not-
the hallway. Like,
Look, you got to splash for the stream. All right, it's like part of the community effort. Like,
those are rules on another
Yeah.
website, Jericho. Not on.
No.
Not,
You're-
come on.
I mean, what are you gonna do with it then? Are you gonna you could turn that into a pretty cool booth, like
Yeah,
or
what would that
something,
be?
but, like, what do you do with that?
I mean, if there's like, I was thinking I could just put like some shelving in there for like some storage, like a kind of a larger closet. I
Okay.
put a little desk so that I can use it for like paperwork and stuff like that. So that because I don't want to put like papers over here where stream can see them. Stuff
Sure.
like that.
Smart.
So, yeah, I was thinking about making it like a tiny, like actual office because this room is just all my computers and shit. So
Yeah. Yeah, that
Nice.
makes sense.
That's a good idea.
That makes sense. Jericho, you've lived in LA for a while. You're still renting, right? Like, where
Yeah.
are you? Is it because you're gonna eventually move back somewhere, or you just?
No, it's because it's expensive, JP. It's very, very expensive to live in the city. Look, I've been saving up for like I've been here for 4 years now, I guess, almost 4 years.
Yeah.
I live in an apartment like in the heart of Hollywood, which when I used to live here, I was renting a house like 8 years ago out in Santa Monica with 5 other people. That was nice. It was cool. I was 18. It was like the only way you could afford to do the whole like I'm going to LA
Sure.
kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
And things were different back then. There was no Twitch Prime. It was like all YouTube money. So I didn't like living out there because it was like I was living back where I grew up, like kind of in the suburbs, right? And I wanted to feel like I was in LA. I was close to things. West Side sucks. If you live in LA, you already know that.
hey, I lived
So
in the
I
West
moved
Side.
back here.
Calm down.
Dude, there's 2 types of people. There's people that like the West Side because you're by the beach, and then there's the fun people that like having fun because all
Whoa.
like
I had
the
to live there for work, so I would not have
oh
chosen.
really yeah.
Yeah, it's just that I didn't want to sit in my car for an hour every morning to go to work.
No, hold on. Explain the
That's-
West Side.
yeah.
You get for non-city folk here. Explain what the West Side of LA is. Why is it not?
I'll
a
let
good
I'll let
place.
Tucker explain.
Okay.
There's a main highway. Everybody knows about the 405, right? It
Yes.
goes north south, right? It kind of separates the West Side, which is like Santa Monica, Venice, Culver City, like the older,
Monica.
more like the places that you kind of think of when you think of the beach in LA. That's West Side. So it's a lot of residential. There's some like businesses, but there's no like high rises really. And then there's like Central LA, which is like mid city and stuff. And then there's Hollywood, West Hollywood, and then East LA and downtown. So West Side is really a term for just on the other side of the 405. And it is, like Ann said, where I live, if I want to go to like the YouTube space, which is down near the airport, it will take me no less than 45 minutes if there's zero traffic. Well, it'll take me 20 minutes today because there's no traffic actually.
Yeah,
But if
I was
there's
gonna
like a
talk about
normal
that after this.
Regular day.
yeah, regular day, 45 minutes, and it could be as bad as an hour and a half. So like when Ann said she had to move there for work, she's not lying. People literally move across the city so they don't have to spend 2 hours a day commuting in one city. Like it's wild, but that's the way things are. So
You said Venice and all that stuff. As someone who's watched Californication and they did a lot of filming there, is that? And I think I've also been to Venice Beach multiple times. That's what you're talking about when you say West Side. Is that area?
sure.
like
I mean, West Side's
It's a
like-
broad term.
Okay. Literally anything on the west, like within 2 miles of the coast in the city.
Okay.
I guess it's not like I consider anything west of Beverly Hills West Side. It's not true, but that's just like it's too far. West Side is too far, and I use that term for anything that's too far away.
Sure.
It's just that, like a lot of the like younger people, I think that are, I don't know. LA's got like the whole east side of like Silver Lake and Echo Park and stuff like that, which are really nice for like walking around. And there's lots of little like
Mhm.
local places, coffee places, and food and stuff like that. All my friends lived in Silver Lake and Echo Park, and I was on the opposite side of the town because I worked there, and so I didn't want to have to deal with that every day. And as someone who's like not going out socially a lot, you know, it was fine because but I would still, if I wanted to meet with them to go to a bar or something like that on the east side, I knew it was going to take me an hour to get there. So it's
Yeah.
just one of the things I had to commit to. But if you're someone like Tucker who's going out all the time, you don't want to live on the opposite side because it's going to take you forever to get anywhere. So.
Yeah. So I mean, back to your original question, the reason that I hadn't been, sorry, I have to give Twitch my Authy code for a stream.
Do it,
Forgive
man.
me. The
Yeah.
reason that I hadn't been moving is specifically because it's very expensive, right? And I literally, there's not a chance in the world that I could buy a house in the city. So I've been waiting for a nice, like a cool apartment, like a loft. I love industrial lofts to open up in East LA in the arts district. So a lot of my friends, artists, even like people who play video games have moved over there because it's like, I don't know the right term. It's like a lot, it's warehousey, it's undeveloped, and a lot of like the cool chic, I hate that word, like cool, interesting food, restaurant, like
And does
restaurants,
too, apparently.
bars. Yeah, it's awful. But like, I don't know how else to explain. It's like, it's fun down there. It's more affordable down there. And I'm tired of living in the middle of like, I live in tourist town. Like, it is unbelievable the amount of tourists and people just like walking by my house that are like loitering right in front of my house or like literally pooping on my doorstep, which has happened a couple times. Probably
That's
not
the
tourists.
famous tourist pastime, yeah.
Yeah. They love doing that. So
It's a LA
I'm working on it.
experience.
I want to move by the end of this year. Like if I can do that, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Get me out of here.
Wait, move somewhere else in LA is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not out of the city. I can't. There's too much stuff that I do here.
Yeah.
to
So
move.
you're there for work issues then 100% or work reasons, right, Jericho?
Well, yeah, the work is what ties me here, but like my entire friend network is here. Obviously, I've got like Brennan and all that crew up in Portland,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of friends I have in San Diego, and you've got like Austin, Texas has a bunch of friends out there, and I love that area. Just very hot.
Yeah.
But for all intents and purposes, I fully take use of that fun tax that we're paying in LA for the the city tax, the state tax, like. I'm paying an exorbitant amount of money, but I also use it. Like I go out 4 times a day, 4 times a week, to see people who are performing that I'm friends with, or just like meet up with some different groups of friends and stuff. So it's really ideal that I'm here.
Yeah. And you're there primarily because that's where you grew up, right? I think you've talked about this ad nauseum on your own channel, so we won't spend too much time on it.
No, I grew up. No, you're fine. I grew up in Baltimore. I lived in Baltimore, Maryland for 18 years. So very different. And then my family lives in North Carolina. So I went to college in North Carolina in Wilmington. Very different from Baltimore. And then I've had a stint in Portland over here. So I'm kind of
You're all over the place. Okay.
in all the spots. Yeah.
And for you, you've lived there your entire life, right?
Pretty much.
Okay.
I
really?
spent some time in the Midwest, but I was born in California, Southern California. So I've been here pretty much forever.
Yeah. And
Man.
So that's why whenever I was talking about how I had to move out of my old house, and everyone's like, "Well, just move to a different state," and I'm like, "My entire family's here, man. Like, I'm not just gonna like fuck off to somewhere else just because it's like I get that it's expensive. Of course, it's it's not ideal that it's the most expensive, but I can't do anything about that. And I don't know. I'm not willing to go away from my family.
right.
I hate that argument. Just move
Yeah.
somewhere else. Yeah, even if it was possible, and it is, we're very thankfully we're remote and we can work from wherever. But like, I hate that argument. It's like, why don't you just uproot your life and like change everything to save a little bit of money or a lot of bit of money? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
If I couldn't afford to live here, then that would be a different story. And like I'm grateful that I do have the opportunity to like stay where I am because like I said, my whole family's here. And I used to live in the same city as my whole family. So I used to live with my sister. So like we would hang out all the
really?
time. I would get to see my family all the time. And so like if you're not close to your family, maybe it's not a big deal then to just move across the country to save money.
Right.
But for me, it's like I'm always close to my family and I can't imagine living like super far away from them.
Yeah.
It's definitely like I FaceTime or call my parents and my sister who's now with them because of everything, like once a week. And like my entire extended family and my grandparents, like they're all spread out, but they're all hanging out in North Carolina now. And like every time I call my mom's like, "Yeah, I just wish you were a little bit closer." And it's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I know I do too," but it like the long distance thing equally as shitty as you might think. So, Anne's
Yeah.
right. Like you can't just like upend everything and move away from the people that you grew up with and if you like them. It's just
Jericho,
I know there's
entertain my immaturity for a second. Do people know your family as the boners?
100%. Yeah. We are the boners. Yeah, like it's I guess it's kind of funny there's a generational thing, right? Like my dad never got made fun of for having last name Boner growing up,
Yeah.
right? And he's
Sure, yeah.
67. And my uncle Richard Boner, his name is Dick Boner, right? Like his name is Richard Boner. Never had anything, but like they understand like at some point maybe like 30, 40, like that kind of picked up in terms.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're the Boner family. I remember my answering machine. Hi, you've reached the Boners. Oh,
So
so good.
I'm going to deep dive into this. What was that like in school? Did you tell people that up front? Did you, is
Oh
that why
yeah.
you turned out how you did in terms of being like a humorous comedian type guy? I wouldn't say comedian, but you find the light of most situations I've found whenever I'm around you.
Yeah, I definitely think that this is oh man, take this with a grain of salt and at face value.
Okay.
The amount of not yeah, the amount of like bullying that I received from middle school and high school was almost not even remotely connected to my last name. Like people got there's only so many boner jokes you can make after 2 weeks you're just like I'm out of content, boys.
Right.
So people used it like people like it because they could yell boner in the school and nobody would be like, "Hey, come here, you got detention." Like they're
Oh,
calling me.
that's true.
Right.
My the ironic thing is that I was actually so unfunny that they called me the joke killer because I
Nice.
guess I was just like really so unfunny and awkward that like I would try and chime in, give my 2 cents, and it would just be awful. So people would literally just like walk away from me when I started talking. So I think maybe I was conditioned to know what was slightly funnier and what wasn't, and that's why I am.
Okay.
But yeah, boner, not a problem. It's kind of nice. I'm not changing my name.
Did you go to public or private school?
Private school.
Were you private school your entire life or did you switch around?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went to a Montessori school, which is like
What is that?
like teach at your own pace kind of school.
Oh,
I don't remember doing much of anything, but apparently it worked out fine because I went into middle school from there. I had no problem with
yeah.
anything, but like I played mini clip, like video games on the computer, like 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. My family was, or my brother was in public school his entire life, and I was private school my entire life, which is weird how that happened, but that's just how it happened.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, some people fit better in one or the other, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And what about you? Were you public or private or mixed?
I went to a private elementary school and then I went to public middle and high school.
Do you have a preference? Or
Mm.
I guess those are so different that you can't really compare the two of them on like a public private
Yeah,
level.
like in the age range it's too hard to compare. But
Yeah.
I mean, I liked
Mm.
going to a public school. It was fine. I didn't have any problems really.
Yeah. My high school was even more complex in the sense that the first 2 years of my high school were all boys. And then my junior year, halfway through, the school went co-ed. And like
Wow.
That's crazy.
it was also a school of, I only had, in my graduating class, I think there was 54 kids. So it was a pretty small school in San Antonio. But we had, I think there was a total of, the first year that we were co-ed, I think the graduating senior class had one girl. And then in my class, we had 3.
Wow.
And so like, it was a pretty weird thing when that happened. Cause if you're like at an all boys school, the like humor that, cause the coaches are teachers, right? Like football coach was my math teacher. Right. And like the amount of, the level of humor is very much like boys humor in that sense. So the entire school just had like the craziest shock when it went co-ed and no one knew how the fuck to act, right?
That's
So, like,
wild.
I think it was
Yeah,
like
that's
40
really
or 50
crazy.
years that they had been like an all a Catholic school, all private Catholic, all boys. And so it was a really weird
Man.
thing when that switched over because people just didn't know, like, what are we supposed to do? Like, we can't make
Right.
these jokes anymore because we don't want to like make someone feel bad or alienate people. Yeah. So it was a weird thing,
Yeah.
but
I mean, the surprising thing with Maryland is that I'm pretty sure it has one of the highest, if not the highest, densities of private schools in the country. I don't
really,
understand why. Maybe it's proximity to DC or whatever, but within 1 square mile of my school, there were 7 private schools. There were 2 all girls schools, 3 all boys schools, and then I guess 2 co-ed. Mine was a co-ed, but it was a Quaker oriented school with no dress code outside of like no blue
oh,
jeans. Very weird.
we had dress
But
code
then
and
our
everything.
rivals, yeah, then our rival school, Gilman, was I went to Friends School, Baltimore, if anybody knows of it. Our rival school, Gilman, had to wear suits and ties, all boys school. And then like uh, the school that my sister went to, fuck, what did she go to? It doesn't matter. Was co-ed, but the schools were separated. So girls' school, boys' school, but they sometimes had co-ed classes if the
Right.
class size wasn't big enough. So it was just like it's kind of interesting how many variations of like co-ed or hybrid or like just all boys, all girls you could get to because it was very obvious as a high schooler when you met somebody like, oh, you go to an all boys school or oh, you go to an all girls school just by like their mannerisms.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We had like a sister school as well that was all girls. And then when we went co-ed, they still remained all girls, but we were co-ed. So the whole situation was just fucked. Like when we would do school dances, it was like the sister school and our school. But then when we went
That was
co-ed, there was like
yeah.
this huge conversation of like, wait, do we need to still have these like events with this all girls school? We probably should because we have like a total of 8 females at the entire school. So that's going to be a really weird dance. So they ended up doing it, I think. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was an interesting experience for sure. But anyways, I don't know why we're talking about school. Are you guys? Did you guys go to college? And you went. You have a degree, right? You have a graphics graphic
Just a
art.
4-year.
Oh, you went to
Yeah.
4 year. Okay. Tucker, Jericho, did you go to college?
I went to college for a year and then I dropped out to move to LA and do all this stuff. And then I tried to go to community college, Santa Monica Community College, because my parents wouldn't let me just completely drop out. And I took 2 classes and I hated it, so I just stopped going because I was paying for it myself. I was like, I'm not doing this, and that's that. I
Yeah.
do regret. I do not regret. I want a degree at some point. I spent a lot of my life like learning, and I actually enjoy learning. But I never got through I only got through like half my gen ed. So if I go back, I'm gonna have to do like variable calculus again, and I can't do basic math anymore. So that's gonna be real tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That happened when I went from I was one of those dumbass kids that took like Cal 2 in high school.
Mm.
And then because of the credits not carrying over into college, they made me take like a
Oh,
normal algebra test, like a college algebra test. And I failed. Like I hadn't used any of that in years.
Yeah.
And so they put me in remedial math in my first year
Nice.
of college. And I was so pissed off that I think I ended up failing that the first time and then had to take it again the next semester.
Dude.
And so, yeah, it was a whole thing. But and college, are you glad you went to college? Do you think you learned things from it? Do you think it was a waste of time? Where you at now? Where you're at in life looking back?
I mean, I did graphic design stuff that I don't know that like I really felt like I learned most of what I know now about graphic design in college. It was more like stuff that I did on my own
Sure.
that I taught myself to do. But I think in a roundabout way, the whole thing kind of led to where I am now. So it's kind of like I wouldn't really change it because it's like I was in school and I took a class that the teacher of that class had a company that he hired me to work at after I graduated. So I started working there, and then I started watching streams while I was working, just in the background. And then that's how I started like getting into Twitch and stuff like that. And so it's like if I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I would have gotten into Twitch if I had not taken that class, you know? Like you don't really know how things can change your outcome. So
Yeah.
and I mean, I enjoyed my experience. I worked a lot while I was in school and yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't feel like I'm like using my degree necessarily, but I think it all kind of led to where I am. So
Yeah. I got a pretty easy degree in journalism, and I think I definitely use it, but in ways that I never would have. Like the ways that I use it are on shows like this, where it's just thinking of questions, because that's basically what journalism for the most part is, except for all the writing aspects of it, which is just wasted in this day and age for the most part. But it definitely gave me like, or allowed me to think in certain ways that I don't think I would have had I not taken the course. But I was one of those kids that just went to college because my parents wanted me to, and it was something where I didn't have to pay for it at the time because we were on scholarships. But then after I graduated, I got a shit ton of debt, and that was a lot of fun. I think that's the place where a lot of people are. Yeah.
I think you learn like a lot of life skills too, just going to college. And I think like
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I meet people and I know that if like and it's not that I think that everyone should go to college. It's just that I sometimes meet people and I'm like, I wonder if your abilities or your kind of social abilities and your critical thinking and stuff like that may have been improved by going to college. But I don't know necessarily. It's just kind of like one of those things where you don't know if it's like that life experience was more difficult for someone to deal with because they didn't experience a similar thing in college.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No,
Like,
no,
there's a
like,
lot of things that you go through when you're in college
yeah,
that,
life
like, you
experiences
learn
shape
how to
you.
deal with that, yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, you can have those life experiences in other places that are unrelated to college, but because I had those experiences in college, my personal reflection of that is that you have those experiences because of college.
Sure. That makes sense.
I agree. I think that like I think that whenever people ask me on my stream like, "Hey, should I go to college? I don't really want to." My general like idea is, trade school is pretty dope and also provides you very valuable skills that probably won't go out of demand anytime soon. Also pay very well. So if you're afraid of like the I don't want to incur debt side of things, cool. Or like community college transfer into a real college, that's also a thing you can do. But like Ann said, the stuff that I experienced during that 1 year of college living alone, but like having supervision was super important because if I had just left high school and then moved out here on my own, I'd probably be dead or something.
Yeah,
Like,
that's always I always find that remarkable
Yeah.
when people say, that right out of high school, they just moved somewhere, lived on their own without any like plan. So they just moved somewhere and started life. And I'm like, how the
Right.
fuck, like, what, how did that work? that does not make sense to me to do that without a
Yeah.
plan. It's always remarkable when people tell that type of story. Because I am not that type of person. I would never. I think I'm very much of like have to have a plan for almost everything that I do, regardless of how grandiose it is. Like I'm not going to commit to something unless I know the specifics about it. So I think that's just the type of person that I am, and that's the type of person those people are. But I respect the hell out of those people because
True.
they can survive, right? They can put themselves in crazy situations like that and figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Let's talk about dogs for a sec. I think all of us have big dogs. Thought about that the other day.
Who has the biggest dog?
I don't Ollie's not full grown yet.
I think Ollie might be big. Ollie might be bigger in general size. Grizz cultivates mass. Like he's a dense nugget. He's not big or tall, but he's rotund.
What
He's
are we going by weight?
Uh,
Are we going by height? What are we going by?
He weighs 72 pounds last time I weighed him.
Okay.
But he doesn't come up higher than my knee.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh, he's
like
pretty short then.
He's like
Yeah.
a little boulder.
He's got a little stubby. Yes. Yeah. He's like a little boar. Yeah. He's got like little stubby legs and stuff. So he's short.
Yeah. And where's your dog at in the height and weight range?
I think last time I measured to her shoulder, she's 28 or 29 inches. She weighs almost 100 pounds. I think like between 90 and 100. She's really big for a female German Shepherd.
How much you say 20? Don't ask why I have this. 29?
Yeah, compared to like the average. Yeah, 29 at her shoulder.
Yeah. Okay. Ollie's about that. I haven't ever measured how tall Ollie is, but the last time we had him weighed, last time he was at the vet, I think he was 70, and that was probably 4 or 5 months ago. And he's coming up on a year pretty soon. He's gonna max out, I
Oh,
think,
yeah.
at 100.
Big.
He's gonna be 120 ish maxed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because they
he's gonna
still
be
grow
big.
for like up to like almost 2 years, I think. It's like a year and a half, 2 years is when they're like full grown.
Yeah.
Mm.
We should also. People are asking
Okay.
what type of dogs. What type of dog? Jericho is
I got a
Grizz,
chow chow.
a Chow Chow, and
There's German Shepherd.
German. And the name of the dog, so everyone's
Rhea.
Rhea, a German Shepherd.
Grizz.
Yeah, Grizz
Is
for
the Chow
Jericho.
Chow, Rhea the German Shepherd.
Yep.
And Ollie, what brand? I was gonna say what brand is Ollie?
What brand?
Wow.
What brand? Is
Wow.
he a sheep
Someone
brand?
get Twitter on the phone and refers to dog
Doggy.
breeds as brands. Okay, she's. Whew. No, Ollie is a Old English sheepdog, and he is quite a handful.
Yeah.
I think I don't know much about Chow Chows. Are they a pretty social breed / outside breed, or are they pretty inside?
Very territorial. Chows by a lot of insurance companies are in the same group as like pit bulls.
Oh.
So I had a lot of trouble getting a lease when I moved to LA. He is the sweetest thing if you are inside my house. Like if you take a step inside my home, he'll jump on you, he gets stoked, like he'll just hang out, lick you. Great. If you're outside of my house, you are a threat to his existence and he hates you.
Yeah.
But if we're on a walk, he's terrified of anybody and anything. He's not aggressive. He just doesn't want to be near dogs. So I didn't do enough to socialize him with other dogs when he was growing up because first dog, I had a bunch of roommates, so he's really good with people to an extent that he knows. But other than that, like he barks all the time anytime a mailman comes. And he's also older. He's getting up there. He's 8 now.
Oh dang. Okay. Yeah, pretty old.
Yeah.
And how old is Rhea?
About the same. Yeah, almost 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know just from talking to you in the past, Rhea is very much the dog that only likes you and not very many other people.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Jericho's like, if you're in my house, she's fine, and it's like, if you're me, you're fine. My dog loves you if you're me. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And that's how German Shepherds are. I do think like, we're working on her training and stuff like that now that I have someone else like living in my home.
Yeah.
But she definitely is very much like a one person dog. But I just, man, I don't know. It's like it's this double-edged sword where it's like, I know that I need to, and we're working on like training her and stuff like that. And she goes to like a professional trainer and works with other dogs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
Smart.
she's generally great. Like she's not really an aggressive dog necessarily, but she's a very defensive, aggressive dog where she like wants to protect herself and protect her people. So she's not going to like try and run after somebody who's outside, but she will try to protect me if they're like walking toward me.
Yep.
But the double-edged sword
That's
there is
great.
like, that sucks that she does that to like people who are trying to be nice.
Right.
But I had a guy try to follow me home one time because he was like kind of drunk, and she was like, "The fuck, you're not gonna follow us home," And she's like, "Well, I know that beyond a shadow of a doubt, I've never had a dog like this before. Like I've had many dogs over the course of my life. I know with every fiber of my being that if she had to, she would give her life for me, like 100%. And I've never had a dog like that before. So she's great. But it's hard when you're trying to like also live with someone else.
Totally. Yeah. That's one of the things Ollie's been in. He goes to like day camp twice a week, which is really not necessarily for him, but that's for my own guilt because I feel bad because I stream all day and he just is kind of like stuck inside. So 2 days out of the week we have him go to a daycare where he can just run around and do whatever, and they
That's nice.
play with him and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But we also put him in training. He did like a full month-long thing of training where he was doing like 8 hours a day for 2 days a week of just like constant, sit, stay, place, out, drop it, all that type of stuff. And like a lot of that stuff he learned, but some of the other stuff, for some reason, he goes after underwear. That's like his favorite thing. He just finds underwear. Like, well, if a drawer is left open, that drawer, if it's filled with underwear, it's all going to be out. Like it's all going to be everywhere on the floor. So he's kind of a perv in that way, but And he doesn't really follow the drop it commands there.
Gotcha.
But he's still a puppy. Like he's barely a year old. So we're hoping that'll he'll grow out of that. And I think
Nice.
also once because he's not neutered yet, the breed is supposed to wait apparently as long as you can, because they have hip dysplasia issues as they get older, and apparently the testosterone like helps that the longer that they can have that. I don't know. So that
Yeah.
should be coming up pretty soon.
You and Chow's have that too. So when I went to the breeder and stuff, who I was initially looking at before I switched to other people, he was like, "Oh no, our dogs are fine. You know, we'll spay and neuter them for you as soon as possible." And then I went to the vet to try and get like a second opinion. She's like, "No, don't do that.
Yeah.
Just like hang on to it as long as you can." So yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily he's good. So hopefully Ollie will be good.
He's getting pretty aggressive. Not like I'm staring at him right now through the window because he's staring at me. He knows I'm talking about him. He's getting pretty aggressive in the sense like he's super territorial. If he's chewing on a bone and you go near him, he'll stop and just stare at the bone, but look at you from the corner of his eye.
Oh yeah.
And if I get a little bit closer, he'll like snip at me. But we've, the trainer and most people, you offer him another treat, get him to pull that away, and then you take the other treat away from him so they can learn to like give that stuff up. He also is imprinted onto Aaron more than me. And so I have countless video and photos of us trying to go to sleep, and he will just straight up lay on top of Aaron's head. Like, no question, no matter what is happening, he'll just get up in bed and like plant his ass right on top of Aaron's face and just go to sleep. It's like, all right, I'm good. Aaron's like, why are you like this? What the fuck are you doing? Get off of me. So yeah, he's kind of a hassle in that regard, but he's growing. He's pretty big. If he jumps up on Aaron, he can jump, like his front feet will reach her shoulders. So he's got some distance to him for
Pretty
sure.
big, yeah.
Yeah. He can jump on my shoulders. He can get up on the kitchen counters. He likes to eat the cat food, which is kind of a pain in the ass. We can't leave food out anywhere. It has to be covered if it's in the kitchen, or he'll get up there. So he's kind of a pain in the ass, but he's fine. I think most dogs
But
like
he's
that.
your pain in the ass. Yeah.
Yeah. Like no matter what the dog does, you're still going to be into it. He's just, he's a lot. He's a handful. And I think that's maybe the next question I have for you guys. Have you had him the entire time you've been like a streamer or a content creator for both of you? Or did you start when you weren't necessarily in this profession full time yet?
I got my dog half a year before I started streaming. So 6 months before I started streaming is when I got her. And looking back on it, I think if I had known the kind of job I was going to get into, I might not have tried to get a dog at that time. But I like didn't even really know what streaming was, or I wasn't really into that world. So
yeah, I have a follow up. But Jericho, what about you?
I was the same way. I mean, I got him when I first moved to LA, but I wasn't streaming every single day. It was more like a sporadic, or and if I did, it was like 2 hours long. And I'm in the same boat with Ann. Like once everything started to pick up and like you had to do these 4 or 5 day trips to PAX, which we don't do that much anymore. Like there's nothing more upsetting than being gone like 1 full week out of a month and knowing like homeboy's just sitting out there just bored and like sad. So I love him, but I probably, knowing what I know now, would not have gotten him in the first place. Just because of the travel and the stuff.
Yeah,
it's calmed down a bit. So
that was kind of my follow up. Like, do you deal with guilt when you're streaming and you look next door? Because like we keep Ollie in a contained area when me and Aaron are both working. And I don't necessarily think, because she'll go outside and she could take like a 5-minute break and take Ollie out and play with him, stuff like that. For streaming, 5 minutes away is basically death for a stream. So do you guys have guilt nonstop when your dog comes by and you can't really go and play with them? You kind of like show them off on stream and, all right, well, I'll see you later. Like I have immense amounts of guilt when he's just sitting here in the window staring at me.
Well, I kind of got lucky because he's like chows are pretty docile and they just kind of like he like normally when I'm streaming he'll lay right outside my booth door, so like I can see him, and if I go to get water, like I'll go and pet him or something like that, give him a little love.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel guilty if I do like a 12-hour stream and I come out there and he's just sitting at the door like, can we go play now?
Yeah,
you're
like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? We're gonna play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's kind of like an ever evolving thing, honestly, because I've moved. I've been streaming for this is 6 years this year, and then I've lived in 6 different houses in that time.
Right.
And so,
Jesus.
yeah, fuck me, right? I'm so excited to live in this house where I don't have to move next year. Um, so it's been kind of it's a change because when I first got her, I was working, out of an office, and so I was gone all day anyways. I would come
Sure.
home for lunch, because yeah, I just wanted to spend time with her. But I mean, and I think that like part of our guilt is that we are home, and so you feel like, well, I am home, and the dog is also here, but I'm not spending time with the dog. But like
Yeah.
a lot of people have pets and they go to work for like 8 hours a day, and they don't come home in the middle of the day, and the dog is fine, right? But because you're here and you like know or you can hear your dog, you know that they're like in the same place as you, and you feel like you should be spending time with them. But I mean,
Yeah.
I only do 4 hour streams now, so I do like some days I'll do 2 streams, but I at least take like an hour break in the middle.
Yeah.
And I mean, in some of those houses, I was living with my sister, so she would come home in the middle of my stream and she would let the dogs out and stuff like that. So it's just kind of been one of those things where you had to figure it out as you went along.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely different when you're working from home and your pet is here, as opposed to like people who go to an office all day and their dog is fine.
Yeah. I guess it's like out of sight, out of mind in that situation. Or maybe they
I
just feel
guess.
guilty as well. I just don't necessarily see that or share that because I don't have very many friends that work in an office, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, and I guess like what you're saying how you share the responsibility. I think me and Aaron do that as well, but it definitely. I think also we have 2 cats. You guys only have one dog and that's it, animal wise.
Yeah, I just got a dog.
Yeah, and is that same for you,
Mhm.
just a dog?
Yeah, I don't think I could have. I used to in one of my old houses. We had 3 dogs. Um, but now Rhea's
That's a
very much
lot.
a one. She's a one dog household kind of pet. So
Yeah. How does she? Does she respond badly to cats? Has she seen a
uh,
cat before? Has she ever reacted to a cat?
she saw a cat across the street one time.
Okay.
And she just stared at it like she had no idea what it was. She's never been in like a house with. Actually, no. There's been times that she has been, and I mean she listens very well. So if you tell her like, there's one time she saw a squirrel, she started running after it, and you can tell her mid run, and she'll stop.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, so she
Ooh.
listens really well to that kind of stuff. But I mean, when she goes to the trainer, there's a lot of like a variety of like big and small dogs that he'll send me videos of her like. I mean, the thing is, she doesn't play with other dogs.
Hmm.
She will sit in the corner, and the other dogs like run around, and she just watches them, and that's it. She doesn't like play with the other dogs.
Yeah. Huh.
She's weird. I don't know. When I first got her, I was walking her, and there was a guy with a pit bull. And we walked up to like let the dogs smell each other, and his dog lost its shit, started attacking my dog, and I had just had her for like a couple weeks. Um, and he was like saying that he also had like just gotten his dog from the shelter or whatever, so like he didn't really know that dog either. And so I don't know. I don't know if that like contributed to her being. She just doesn't really like other dogs.
Yeah.
It's like she doesn't trust them, I think.
Yeah.
So
Ollie just tries to herd the cats. He's a herding like in his
Yeah.
genes and blood. Like he is a sheep herding dog. That is what the ancestors of your do, and so he will do that with the cats. He'll like
That's funny.
he'll make sure the cats stay in a corner, and then he'll start to walk away. And if like the cat starts to inch out, he'll turn back around and like make sure the cat stays in the corner. He also has become a cat somewhere where he'll jump up on our couches, and we have like these like wood planks around the edges, and he'll walk along those for some reason like a dumbass and fall. So we gotta. He's a handful sometimes. It's the short of it.
That's
But-
adorable.
I've heard that people with like the Australian shepherds and stuff like that, they'll try to like herd children and stuff like that
Yeah.
too.
Oh, yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah. Yeah. The breeder actually suggested, because we got him from a breeder who actually it lives on a farm, and like the reason she breeds sheepdogs is because she has sheep, and
Right.
she said like if you want to bring Ollie out just to see, here just heard me say his name, freaked out. If you want to bring Ollie out, you could see how he interacts with the sheep, and like that's fine if you want to see how it goes. But she's like an hour or so away from us, but I think it might be fun just to see how he responds to like sheep herding, to see if he actually takes to it or not. That would be, I don't know, that'd be cool. Just
That'd
to
be
see how that
that'd
goes.
be interesting.
Yeah, just to see what happens. He might just be like, "What the fuck are we doing here? Can we go home? It's hot. We gotta get out." I don't know.
It's like, what the fuck are these big dogs? What are these?
Yeah.
Big dogs.
Well, he was there. I guess he grew up around them. He probably, maybe not, will remember them. I'm not sure. Anyways, that's enough dog talk. Yeah, then exactly, Reggie. I'd own some sheep at that point. We just put a bunch of sheep in our backyard. That's not a good idea. How's everything going with the Corona stuff? We talked about it a little bit in the beginning, but quarantine life, I think, is something that streamers talk about nonstop. But how's everything else? Like, family all good? Everyone okay? Food doing like what are y'all's biggest hurdles, I guess, with this stuff?
Honestly, my biggest hurdle for the first, I mean, it's like a ebbing and flowing hurdle. If I, like, for example, during the weekend, usually like on Fridays, I'll drink on stream and watch shitty YouTube videos, and then I'll play with some friends and stuff.
Yeah.
During the quarantine, what I found myself doing is if I had, I'd order alcohol delivery, I'd get it. Excuse me, sorry, I'd get it, and then I'd I'd have it for whatever. During the quarantine, I'd find myself like I'd end stream at like 7:00, and I'm like, all right. Normally, I'd go to the grocery store and get dinner, or I'd like go to dinner, or I'd go to see friends or something. I ain't got anything to do. Might as well drink again. So like I ended up drinking way more frequently than I ever really wanted to. So I've stopped like stocking my house with alcohol. If I want to drink at some point in time, sure, maybe I'll brave the store, but it's just like there's like no there's no like stopgap between a Monday and a Wednesday and a Friday anymore. Whereas like I could kind of base my personal schedule around everybody else and like when the fun things are happening for people that work normal jobs. So it was easier to kind of like meter that. But now it's just like, nah, nah, you got it. You might as well you're not doing anything else. And what do you got to do tomorrow? Nothing. So you might as well just keep doing it. So just like, work that's been a hurdle. And then working out, like I haven't worked out. I'm really missed the gym, and I hate body weight exercises. So I don't think I've worked out at all. And I'm like, man, all those 6 months of work you put in, gone. Like just, they're just gone. So
Are you finding yourself eating more takeout, cooking more? Where I know you do a bunch of cooking stuff on your own stream, but you cooking a lot more off stream?
I cook a ton now. I'm a little like I do order in less frequently just to minimize risk, and also like it is a good time to figure out like, am I capable of cooking stuff with like limited ingredients? So like 2 days ago I made stovetop chicken curry, but I didn't have like yogurt and I didn't have like coconut milk, so I just kind of did some other stuff. And it turned out good. And so I'm making my own bread at home. I made pizza from scratch 2 nights ago. Like dough and everything. If I come out of this like being able to cook several meals a little better and stuff, like I'm gonna be happy.
Yeah. And what about you? I mean, you just moved, so maybe you haven't.
Yeah.
Have you been moving this entire time that all this started, or was that just more of like a past 2 week type deal?
I got really lucky with the timing, I think, honestly, because we were looking at houses before all of this happened and started the process of buying the house, I think, like right as the quarantine was starting. So because I know that like right now there's a lot of places where they're like not, or realtors who like can't really show houses, they can't have open houses, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think we got really lucky with the timing. And I don't know, I think like not a lot has changed for me. I was gonna buy stuff to work out at home anyways before I was gonna like I didn't want to buy it before I moved because I didn't want to have to move it to the new house, right? Like a bunch of weights and stuff like that. That'd be annoying.
Yeah.
I was just gonna wait until I moved to the new house, but now
Sure.
there's the quarantine, so now I can't like everything is sold out everywhere. So I did manage to buy some like medicine balls and stuff like that on the internet. So
Yeah.
but I mean, honestly, I don't feel like a ton has changed for me, except for like buying groceries is now even more of a chore than it was before because you come home and like I wash everything that we buy
Oh yeah.
before we put it away, so it's like it just takes so much longer.
Yeah.
But it's not
I've kind of I was like that for about a week, and now like, do you guys wipe down Amazon packages or FedEx packages or anything like that?
Nope. I don't wipe down the stuff that I buy from grocery stores either, mostly cuz like I fully understand the whole contamination side of things. Like I'll wipe down things that like I don't buy like bags of chips, right? I would wipe that down because you're eating with your hands and then you got to open up the bag and that's not so good. But like I buy fresh fruit and vegetables if I'm going out and then I usually make stuff and freeze it. So I wash those anyways.
Yeah.
But like packages I open up outside and then I break down the box, take the box away, go inside, wash my hands, take the thing from inside the box inside.
Yeah.
Like that's the only like real convoluted thing that I do. And I feel like even that's a little much, but like takes 2 minutes. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, if it keeps your anxiety at ease, then it's probably
Mhm.
worth it,
That's
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And you're wiping down everything still?
Yeah, if I buy something and it's in like a plastic container or like any kind of bag or whatever, I put it in the sink and I wash it with soap and water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wash everything. And then if it's like a cardboard box, we have some like antibacterial wipes and stuff like that that I just wipe everything down. And then we have some packages. I mean, I've been kind of lazy about it recently, but like when this kind of started, I was leaving packages in the garage for like a couple days before I opened them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We did that for about a week. And then I was just like, eventually I think everyone's going to get some bout of this. So I'm doing all right. I'm feeling fine. Fuck it. Let's roll the dice. And so far it's worked out. We'll see 2 weeks from now if I look back on this episode and know that was where I contracted something. Uh, but you never know. You never know. What about in terms of streaming? Are you guys tired of the coronavirus emojis anytime you cough or mention it or anything like that?
No.
Not really.
not fair.
Okay. I guess that maybe I'm speaking to that because Co recently has been pretty sick and showing a lot of similar
Right.
symptoms, and he fucking hates it. Because
Yeah.
anytime he mentions it,
Fair.
or his name gets brought into it and all that stuff, so I could see how that
Yeah.
would be annoying.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like anytime if I feel sick on stream or something like that, and people are like, "Oh, are you pregnant?"
oh
like-
yeah, oh yeah. I
Oh,
guess it
yeah.
is very
No,
similar
we're
to
just
that.
like,
Yeah,
shut up.
that's true. I didn't even consider that. It's probably very similar to that. What else? What have you guys been doing to kill time outside of streaming? Just more of the same?
Unpacking.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you almost done unpacking? Are you fully? I see a box behind you, so I'm gonna guess no.
Yeah, I can't decide what to do with that. I've reached the point where there's like a lot of stuff that I've unpacked most of the stuff that I wanted to unpack, and now there's just like all that like little crap that you still want to keep, but it's not very important to me to unpack it. So I'm trying to still consistently work on all of that so that I don't leave like a bunch of stuff, just laying all over the place. Like I said, I wanted to. There's like a spot in our house that we want to turn into kind of a like a gym area.
Yeah.
So I need to clear. Right now, it's just the like kind of half storage area, so I got to clear all that stuff out of there. But part of the problem is like I wanted to buy some storage stuff for our garage so that we can store like things that we want to keep, but you don't want it in your house.
Yeah.
But it's hard with like Home Depot's closed, and I mean it's not closed, but it's just all like I said, it's just all like a huge chore to go anywhere and to like buy stuff, and sometimes you have to wait, in line to get in, and like I drove past a Target. I was gonna go to the Target, and I drove past it instead because the line was like 40 people standing outside. It was just like,
Oh,
Yeah.
because they're only allowing like 100 in or whatever.
right,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah. That makes
That
sense.
that sucks more on. I feel like that sucks more like on. I feel like that sucks more on like the bigger city side of things. Like
Yeah,
I
we don't-
actively
we-
avoid.
We have that, but it's not necessarily a everyday problem.
Right.
If you go at like rush hour
Yeah.
at 6 or something when people are getting home from like office jobs, yeah, you'll see that. But
Yeah.
wait an
So,
hour and you're fine.
Yeah, I haven't had to wait in line for like the local, like small little grocery store, like the little bodega or like the, just to get like little things, thankfully. But yeah, I'm not gonna wait in line for like 40 minutes to go to Target.
Yeah.
Pretty much ever.
Are you guys doing takeout? A lot of takeout? No takeout?
a little bit. I think it's been kind of the same for me.
Yeah.
But again, I do the thing where I just like wipe everything down when it gets to the house, or I'll transfer the food from the plastic container to a plate, and then wash my hands and stuff.
Yeah. We had a moment. Aaron wanted Indian food the other day. And it's a little bit of a drive to go
Oh.
get it, but we hadn't had it in so long. And so we went, or she went to pick it up. And I guess because I mean, there's a lot of factors here. They could just also be unbelievably nice people, but the process when she walked in and the place had like a plastic shield in front of the cashier, whatever, and lady was there. She was wearing like full mask, wearing a plastic face guard, had gloves on. Aaron handed her the card. The lady took the card, swiped the card, sanitized the card, handed her her card back, took off her gloves, put on new gloves, handed her a pen after sanitizing the pen, had her sign it, took that back, took off the gloves, typed in stuff on the keyboard, put gloves back on to hand her the receipt after she had signed it, and then handed her food and said, like, thank you so much for getting food, like for getting food through us. And that was during stream. I called him back afterwards and bought a bunch of gift certificates for him because, like, that's going the distance in my eyes. Like, that's absurd. And they got to be hurting, right? I think most restaurants that can't have people come in and eat at them have to be in a terrible spot right now, especially if they don't have, like, I think maybe in LA it's a little bit more prevalent, but here in St. Louis, DoorDash and like Grubhub or whatever, I don't know, there's probably 2 or 3 other apps that I'm missing. Not necessarily the biggest deal. So a lot of those places, the only way they get any business is if people go in and like do takeout.
Right.
But yeah,
it's tough.
Some of that stuff is like, I think once you see the other side of stuff, it's a pretty eye-opening deal. I think especially being on the internet 24/7, you don't necessarily see that type of stuff, especially if you don't watch TV and just see like how much it's impacting a lot of that stuff, a lot of people's lives. But it's definitely fucked out there.
It's like where I people make jokes about not wanting to order food because you don't want to like invite the opportunity for the virus to come to your house.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I feel kind of a personal, I don't know, like an obligation or like a responsibility, or I don't know how to describe it necessarily. Like it's not my responsibility to keep you in business, but I do feel like if I can like buy something from a local place, then I'm going to try to do that more. So I feel like I've actually been like kind of going out of my way to get food from local places and not chains, just because I feel bad about what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was that.
There's definitely like.
Go ahead. No, go.
There's definitely a couple like there's like my local bagel place that I used to eat at like 3 times a week, and like the Indian place that I love. Like the places that I actively went to and ordered from, like, are the places that I continue to actively order from post quarantine. But you're right, like there's not a ton of like chain restaurants in LA, right? Like maybe like there is PF Chang's or Volcano, but I've never really eaten there.
What's a volcano?
So it's, Volcano is just like PF Chang's, but more sushi. It's like,
really?
I don't know. It's yeah, it's
Never
kind
heard
of
of it.
whack, but yeah.
A volcano. I'm gonna have to. How do you spell that?
WOK, like walk, WOK, WOK,
okay.
and then ano, volcano.
Okay, gotcha. Never heard of that. Yeah, In-N-Out's a chain. Whoever said that in chat, it's a massive chain.
Yeah. I think they're responding to me saying there's not a lot of chain restaurants in LA, but like,
okay.
that's fast food. Like I'm saying, there's not a single Applebee's within 5 miles of me, as far as I know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You guys watching a lot of TV, movies? Are you binging anything?
Oh man.
Anything of note? I know, and you binged the Lord of the Rings stuff, but
Yeah. I just watched Parasite. That was fucking weird.
I still haven't watched it yet.
That is I loved it. That was the first movie that I have watched sitting at. I don't watch a lot of movies. It's a large time commitment. It's like 2 hours of my day.
That's where
I
I'm
could be
at
doing
right
a lot
now.
of other things.
Yeah.
Right. I finally was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. I got, I bought it. I sat down and I watched it. And the first like 30 minutes, I was like, all right, it's good, but like I don't know if it's that good. And then it just progressively got to the point where by the end of it, I was like, this movie is awesome. It deserved all the awards. Like I thoroughly loved that movie. But I know some people that also hated it. So
Yeah, I mean, if JP hasn't watched it, I don't want to talk about it too much. I would definitely recommend watching it. I don't know how I feel about it. I think it was unexpected, I think, but I'm glad that I watched it. So it was very good. I don't know if I would say that it was like, I think there were a lot of people who were just like, this is the best movie I've ever seen. And I don't know if I would go that far with it personally. I do think it was really good.
That's my fear of watching it now.
Yeah, I would say like the awards that it got, for sure. It was a great movie. I don't think it was like my personal favorite movie, but was really good. So
Yeah.
and then we
Yeah.
watched. I mean, we kind of did like a cycle. So we did like Lord of the Rings. We watched all the Star Wars movies in
Ooh.
actually in like
Jeez.
chronological order.
You've been watching a shit ton of movies. What the fuck?
And well, it's like we watch like half the movie, every night or whatever,
Yeah.
instead of
Got
like
it.
this has been for the past like few months. It's not just
Oh,
been
okay,
like
okay. I thought you meant like in the
Right.
past
yeah.
month.
Yeah, so it was very. I've never watched the Star Wars movies in chronological order. It was very interesting. It was like cool to go from, um, like watching episodes 1, 2, 3, and then like watching Rogue One right before A New Hope and stuff like that. It was cool. I've
Yeah.
never done that before.
Have you done that with the Marvel movies before?
No,
Are you a big Marvel
no,
movie fan? I don't know. If
I do. Yeah, I like the
Okay.
Marvel movies a lot. We haven't gotten to that part yet.
That's a
But
big
maybe.
commitment there. I think it's 24 movies.
Jesus.
Yeah, I've done it once. I've seen all the movies multiple times, but I've done like a chronological watch once, and it was a lot. It was an entire month of one movie a night. This is before, I guess, Infinity War came out, but yeah, it's a lot. How are those first 3 Star Wars movies in 2020? Anne, did you?
I mean, they're just as bad as they were before. I
Yeah.
don't know. There's the novelty of watching them, I think, but I don't know. They're kind of they weren't good to start with, and then they've also not aged super well. But it's kind of like when you watch something for the first time and you've seen a meme of a moment a bunch of times, but you haven't actually watched whatever it's from, and then you see it and you're like, oh, that's where that's
There's a
from.
lot of memes in those movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the same with
I
Lord
must
of the
be-
Rings, right? There's a ton of memes in those
yeah,
movies.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool to like see those moments. It's like you're like window shopping memes kind of.
Yeah. I didn't realize how many like memes came from the first Lord of the Rings movie until I watched it. It's almost like the meme is almost like a meme a minute. There's like multiple like giant memes from that. The potatoes thing. I definitely
The
like
Gandalf.
the Gandalf thing. Like there's so
Yeah.
many lines from that that are all just huge fucking memes. Yeah. That thing with the axe. There's a lot. There's a ton. Jericho, what about you? Been watching TV? You been watching movies? Anything of note?
I don't. Yeah. I mean, very, very big divergence from everyone else. Like, I started to watch. Tiger King, and I got 3 episodes in, and I had to take a break. That show is
Stressed you out?
a lot. Yeah, it's very stressful. It's good, but it's like I only watch shows when I'm in bed about to go to sleep, and that like I needed
Same.
to decompress after watching it. So I'm still working through there.
I haven't watched a single episode yet.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been watching. I basically only watch anime and Chef's Table at this point. So I've been watching Log Horizon again. Shout out my weebs, and then Food Wars season 5 is happening right now, and I just finished. What did I just finish? Vinland Saga, and I'm rewatching. And I just finished Akame ga Kill. So a whole bunch of like. I like to rewatch one show so I can fall asleep during it. And then I like to watch like one new one right before so I can like pay attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm in the real or the weird world.
Season.
The real that's hard to say.
Real world.
The real weird world is the hard one to
real
say.
Weird.
Uh,
Real weird world.
yeah.
Yeah.
Of watching old shows. So I just watched all of West Wing, which was 7 seasons, which is like 24
Nice.
episodes, which I had seen before. I think that's the second or third watch I've done that. And then I started watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer again. That's a weird show to watch in 2020. I feel like I watch every episode and I'm just like, fuck, the 90s were crazy.
Yeah.
It is. I've thought about going back and rewatching Dawson's Creek to get some like real fucking 90s shit going on. But I think maybe one is enough for right now. I don't know if you guys watched Buffy before? Did you watch it as a kid? Was that on your TV in middle school, high school, I guess is what
I never even saw an episode of Buffy.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you watch any of the like Dawson's Creek or anything? Like what was your show as a teenager?
You got to realize Dawson's Creek was like, I think like 4 years too old for me. Right. Like it was not during my like core thing.
Okay.
I don't know if I had a specific like teenage show outside of like Dragon Ball Z or
Mm.
or something like that. But no, I never really saw Dawson's Creek at all or
Eh,
Smallville or any of that.
Oh, I
like,
watched the shit.
stuff.
Smallville was so good. I watched all that. Unfortunately. And what about you? What'd you watch as a kid? I'm actually curious what your answer is here.
Well, I mean, as a kid,
Well, like as a teenager, not necessarily a
yeah.
kid.
I don't know. I think we watched. Honestly, can't remember.
One
Like
Tree
Seventh
Hill.
Heaven.
Oh,
Seventh
Seventh Heaven
was
was
one of those
awful.
shows.
What the
Yeah,
Jesus?
I know
I
all
don't
of
know,
these.
I'm trying to think of what I
Yeah.
watched with my family, but like I can't actually think of anything. I know my mom didn't want us to watch that '70s show, so I would watch it like secretly. You know,
Wait, what?
That's one show that I watched. That and Scrubs are the two
70s
shows
show.
that I probably watched.
What
Yeah.
was wrong with that '70s show though? What? Because of the
I don't know. I
constant
think
drug
Maybe.
references, or
kind of yeah.
okay, that
Yeah,
makes
maybe
sense.
some like more adult references. Oh, Third Rock from the Sun. That's a good one. Yeah, Boy Meets World. Even Stevens was more
I
when
never
I was
watched
like,
it. That was a Disney Channel show, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Wait. Yeah.
Even Stevens, I never watched that. What
Yeah,
about?
Boy Meets World probably was a big one.
Yeah, what was the ABC thing that happened on Fridays? The TGIF, wasn't it? With like Boy Meets World, Step by Step, Family Matters. There was one more show that was in that like 4-hour block that I forget. Waiting for chat to remind me.
Yeah, I don't know. Watch That's So Raven.
Full
Full
House.
House. Oh yeah, Full House.
Did you watch that
Oh
new
yeah,
Full
Sabrina,
House?
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah, I watched that.
Love that.
Yeah.
No.
A little bit.
What about the new Full House? Did anyone check that out on Netflix when it came out?
Nah.
I didn't watch it at all. I don't know if it was any good. Yeah, Fuller House, I guess was the name
Fuller
of it.
House.
Chat's saying it's terrible. I
Yeah.
don't know. What about the new Boy Meets World? What isn't?
No, I think I tried to watch like an episode of it, but I think it's very clearly aimed at a much younger audience. It's not like a remake of Boy Meets World for people who watched Boy Meets World when it was
Yeah,
on TV. You know, it's like it's really aimed at like people probably who are like my age or maybe a little bit older who have kids that could watch that show, you know, so that they can watch it together.
yeah,
Or like the adult can have the nostalgia factor and then the kid is like seeing a new show. I don't know.
that makes sense. And where you stand in the world of anime?
I don't watch anime.
Have you tried to watch anime? Where are you at?
Yeah. Well, when I was in high school, I think I tried to watch Bleach.
Okay.
There's your problem.
Hey, Bleach
I don't
isn't bad.
want-
That's like the one anime I've watched a lot of. Well,
I didn't dislike it either. Here's my problem is that most of the time I watch things while I don't know. I used to watch TV while I was working on stuff. And so it was always like I didn't have time to like read the subtitles. It's the same problem. I didn't end up watching Narcos because I just like couldn't watch like and read the subtitles while I was doing other things.
Sure.
And I don't know now. I just don't really have an interest in it, I guess. What's interesting to
fair.
me about like about anime though, I was thinking about this while you were talking, is that when I watch a TV show, I watch that one TV show and I watch like an episode a night or something like that. And I've heard more often, I think, from anime people who watch anime, they watch like three shows at a time,
They binge it.
and you'll
Yeah.
like rotate episodes and stuff, which is interesting to me because it's like I follow like one storyline, and then people who watch anime will watch like 4 things at a time and like follow all 4
Yeah.
storylines.
Well, I think a big part of that is that, especially now, most shows are going to be 45 minutes to an hour of true content. Anime, if you take out like the outro, the recap, like some of these are only 18-minute long content,
Yeah.
right? So like you can really, I think I watch 2 to 3 episodes of something a night, but that's only like 45 minutes to an hour. It's like not a lot. And a lot of the time, the situation, like if you've watched enough, like you can kind of piece together like the flow of the show and not get confused. Like this protagonist is easily swappable with this one. Like each show, like I'm watching one called Love is War, which is literally a high school romance thing, but it's the funniest shit in the world. No pickles involved. It's actually funny. There's no way I'm getting those mixed up with the guy who is currently trapped inside of a digital video game, right? There's like no crossover, so it's not confusing to
Right.
me to switch from one to the other. But
Yeah. I just don't watch a
Yeah.
lot of things that are animated at all. Even like I mean, I love Star Wars and the Clone Wars. I watched the
Couldn't
first
get
couple of
into it.
episodes, and I couldn't get into it. Just I don't know. There's something about the style of it that doesn't click with me. So.
Yeah.
Yep. People are like
I watched
that. Yeah.
Mindhunter recently.
Watch
Bad idea
what?
to watch Mindhunter when you just move into a new house. I was
Ooh.
freaked out.
Oh yeah, I could see that,
Yeah.
dude. So did you finish that show, or where are you at? Both seasons you watched?
It's like 2 seasons, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I finished both seasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those. That is one of the most recent shows I've watched in full. But it was also, I agree with you, and I could definitely see moving into a new house why you would want to get that security shit set up real quick.
Yeah. Yep.
Because those shows are fucked up.
Yeah.
And have you ever watched?
Sorry, when I first moved here, my dog was at the boarding place too. So I was like in a new house, and I didn't have my dog as like my protection. So I was just like, oh god.
Yeah, that makes sense. And have you ever watched Hannibal on the TV series?
No, I heard good things about it.
I think
but-
I mean, if you've seen Mindhunters, Hannibal's like the next step up. It's also one of those shows where you're like, how the fuck is this on TV and people are okay with it? Because it's like, it was on NBC, but it's like one of the most graphic shows I have ever watched.
I have trouble with gore.
Oh, okay, never mind. Don't watch Hannibal.
Like
don't watch it.
Mindhunter was like right at my cusp, but like right where I was like, if it was any further, then I would probably not.
What if Hannibal though is gory only in the food?
Wait, the food is. Oh, I get it. You're funny.
Because like a lot of the like fucked upness is that they're like eating humans in that show.
Yeah,
like he feeds.
I don't want to watch that.
Okay, all right.
You know, that was I never watched it either, but that specific
so
show.
good.
Yeah, but that show was like the poster child for a bunch of people being like, but we can't show nipple. Like there's like one where like his back is flayed out into like wings and stuff.
If you're at all squeamish, don't Google the word blood Viking or blood angel, which is essentially what that is. It's like a Viking thing where they would ends here. So I don't want to be like too, just Google it if you're at all curious.
I'm just going to Google it.
Describe it. Well, it's just I don't know how to look at it, you know.
Okay, I'll describe it.
Warhammer
or a blood eagle. A blood eagle. A blood eagle is where I think they slice open your back.
Bad.
They take the ribs out of your back and splay them open as if you had like wings. And there's a scene in Hannibal where that has happened to two folks, or your lungs. That's what it is, not your ribs. And like, it's a full on thing, and they're just like staring at it in the show. And everyone like NBC's like, yeah, just don't show any nudity. You know, you gotta keep the tits and ass out of that.
No butts, no titties. It's
Well, the funny thing is, in that particular scene, I read after I watched the show that the two victims were nude, and because I think it was like one of the female victim, because her ass was showing, they put blood on her ass to cover up the like ass cheek, and that got them by the TV like rating because there was blood, so you couldn't like see that there was an ass cheek there.
Wow.
That's how they skirted by getting it on TV. It's so fucking stupid. It's so stupid.
We can't show this. There's nudity. I don't know, just pour some blood on it. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Put some blood on it. So, yeah. If you've never seen Hannibal, the TV show, and you're at all curious about, this is just to everyone watching, you're at all curious about like a very, very well told story that is also very fucked up in terms of how he kills people in that show, I highly recommend it. I also will say that I could only watch like 2 or 3 episodes a night of that when I binged it, because it is such a dark and depressing show and like so centered around death and like murder that like your mind will go places. So if you're at all like worried about that stuff on a daily basis, don't watch it. But it is very good. It's just a very dark show to watch.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I think I might leave that one, that link blue, you know?
Yeah. Oh, and Mads Mikkelsen plays Hannibal, and he's like,
he's the,
he outdoes Anthony Hopkins for Hannibal, for me. Like he is a better Hannibal to me. When the first person that comes to mind when the word Hannibal is said is him, not necessarily Anthony Hopkins. So he's fucking amazing in that. I love Dexter. Why I like Hannibal. Dexter is like the child's version of Hannibal, if that makes sense. And I've seen every episode of Dexter. Did you guys watch Dexter?
Yeah. Yeah, I like Dexter.
Well, if you got through Dexter, you might be able to watch.
I have watched Dexter. Yeah.
You just said it's the child's version.
I
of
mean,
the
it
other
is
one.
the child. And grow up, all right? Watch the adult Dexter. It's great. Also, that show ending is so bad. God, the final season is just a fucking nightmare. They should have ended it with John Lithgow season, and it should have stopped there. That should have been the final episode. But
Final seasons in TV shows are so difficult. I think you're
Yeah.
just never even if it's like just perfect, like the perfect ending. No one's gonna be happy. You can't make people happy with that.
What about Breaking Bad? Had like a universally loved ending, didn't it? Did it not? Maybe
I don't know if
I'm
it was universally
misremembering it.
loved, but I think they planned for it to end, right? And I think that's part of the difference. It's
Right.
like
from the beginning.
hard when you're like when you don't have a plan for it and you're just like, let's just keep going and like just see where this takes us. And then eventually you have to end it. And so you're like, oh well, we weren't prepared for that. So we have to like try and tie all the things together and choose an ending. It wasn't supposed to have an ending.
Have you guys watched The Leftovers?
No.
I don't even know what that is.
It's from the creator of Lost, and a lot of people are immediately out the second I say that because of how Lost ended. The Leftovers, the premise for The Leftovers is it's a show that the rapture happens, right? Like people just disappear seemingly out of nowhere. And,
right.
And 3 years after the fact, that's where the story starts.
Oh, I
was an
did see
HBO
like
show.
advertisements.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like the
Yeah.
people
Is it
who-
good?
who disappear.
Yes, it's the life of everyone
Okay.
that didn't disappear. It is
It's kind of like Endgame.
a little bit. It's Endgame if it was super depressing and there was no superheroes.
Yeah, right.
For my interest,
The reality version of that. Yeah.
yeah. For my interest, I think I'm comfortable saying it's probably my favorite television show I've watched in the past 5 years. It's only 3 seasons. It wraps up in like one of the best finales I've ever seen. And the entire final season is like some of the best television I've ever watched. However, it is unmistakably and unquestionably the most depressing show I have ever watched. So I can't recommend it if you're one to get affected by that and would struggle with that because it is, God, is it so depressing. The entire first season has to do with like the fact that no one can move on because, you know, their loved ones have just disappeared without rhyme or reason. And like, how do you cope with that? And yeah, it's very, very depressing. And then the second season, like Damien Lindelof gets a little bit losty with it and they start doing just really weird things that they don't explain right at the front. It's a bizarre show, but it's very, very good. I highly recommend it.
Have you seen or read there's a book called The Road? Cormac McCarthy?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you read the book? And have you watched the movie?
Yeah.
I have not read the book, but I know what happens in the book, and I've not seen the movie, but I know what happens in the movie, and I know that is also very depressing, which is, I think, where you're going with this.
Yeah, it was just one of those movies where you watch the whole thing, and like I've read both the book, and then it's the same author that did No Country for Old Men, which is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite books. But for The Road, you just like watch the whole thing, and it ends, and you're just like,
it's not a cheery story at all.
Everything is terrible. That's it. Like it just ends, and you're just left sitting on the sofa, like, holy, what just happened to me? Like that's awful.
Yeah, that one I read because everyone had the same reaction you just did, and so I think I like wikied what happens in that story, and I got enough from just the wiki article on it that I was like, I don't need to see that. Like that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine like watching it.
Keep waiting for the moment of like the hopeful crescendo. It just never comes. And it's just sad the whole way through.
Yeah. Yeah. JP's watching depressing stuff in quarantine. It's funny, I actually am. Have you guys seen Afterlife with Richie Gervais on Netflix?
No.
Also, one of the most like depressing things that I've. So the story for that is it's Ricky's character. His wife had cancer and dies, and that's the start of the show. Is him living with, you know, having his wife pass away from cancer at like 40 or 50. And it's even, they go like really far. She recorded a bunch of things on like a cell phone, like videos of how she wants him to live his life after she's passed away. And that's how the show starts, is him like watching those videos. And like the opening of the show, he's in the bathroom. I guess trigger warning. He's in the bathroom getting ready to kill himself. And his dog walks in and he looks at the dog and he goes, well, if I kill myself, no one's going to feed you. So I guess I'll get out and feed you. And so that's how the show starts. But it's really fucking good show. It also is probably the darkest humor that I have ever watched.
as is par for Ricky, you know? I feel like that's...
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. I haven't heard about it.
It's good, but just be forewarned. Like he goes and basically is like, well, I have nothing to live for, so what the fuck does any of this matter? Let's do a shit ton of drugs. Let's see what that's like. And like he starts a habit, and yeah, it goes places. It's only 6 or 7 episodes as well. Yeah. You will definitely, we talked about movies that will make you cry. That show will fuck you up.
Perfect.
But it does, unlike The Road, there's a moment of uplift, of crescendo there towards the end. We were like, okay, this is not half bad. You know, he's
The Road is very, oh, this is sad. Nope, this is still sad. There's some more sadness. And on the side of that, some more sadness. And then it's going to end with sadness.
Yeah.
That's it.
There's a crescendo of sadness in that movie.
Yeah.
At the end. Yeah. At least from the wiki. I've not watched it. Did you both read and watch it? Read the book and watch the movie? Okay.
Just watch.
Wait, so you put yourself through that story twice?
I really love the book. And I Viggo Mortensen, I like him as an actor as well. Despair is a good word for that. It's just a depression buffet. It's just sadness all the way down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Almost all the shows that I've brought up have all been depressing. But then I watch Buffy and it's not. So there you go. That's how I I even things out. I watch Buffy the Vampire
balance
Slayer.
that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and Dawson's Creek. Dawson's Creek is weird. Have you guys seen Dawson's Creek before? Have you only seen like the memes around it? That show is like that show is teen angst like just distilled into just the purest form of Dawson just like being a fucking whiny baby. And yeah.
It's one of those I feel like I realize how I've gotten older because I would watch or rewatch videos of Malcolm in the Middle.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't rewatch the show, but as a kid you're like, yeah, these fucking parents are so just like, you know, they're so overbearing and controlling and stuff like that. And as you get older, I watch the video and I'm just like, this mom has the worst fucking kids. These kids are so annoying. And like, I would be mad at them too for like all their dumb shit that they're doing. It's like, wow, I've gotten old.
That happened to me with Home Improvement.
Yeah.
Really?
I've rewatched, I saw every episode of Home Improvement as a kid multiple times because it would come on every day at like 5 to 6. And then I think at 6, Frasier would start, and I would never turn the channel fast enough to get away from Frasier as a kid. But Home Improvement I was all about. And I watched every episode as a kid, and I've watched every episode as an adult. That show is definitely something. It's a weird show to watch in 2020 because like Tim Allen's humor. If that show came out today, there would be riots. There's a lot of like stuff in there where you're just like, wait a minute, what? Hold on now a minute. What the fuck did he just say? Like, how does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's a lot. But also there's still funny things in it that have nothing to do with like blatant sexism that occur throughout that show. But there's a lot of that. So
yeah, that's like just like in Friends, man. There's a couple episodes that they make jokes that you're just like, you could not say that today.
Yeah,
people would freak out if you put that on TV right now.
I never watched much. I know you're a huge Friends fan. I never watched it.
My sister and I were super into that when we were kids, and it's just weird now rewatching it, and you realize some of the like comments that they make are really just off color.
Yeah,
you don't realize it when you're a kid.
Yeah.
But I mean, that people make that comment about like Tropic Thunder, or Robert Downey Jr. plays the entire movie as a
That, like-
character in blackface.
That like blew up the
It's
past
like-
couple of days, right? Like people are.
There was like
Oh,
a
did it?
viral about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody was like, nobody mentions that Robert Downey Jr. was just in blackface, and it's like that's literally the point of the character and the point
the
of the
whole
movie.
point. Yeah.
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 Like,
Yeah.
if you just take the context
Which-
away, yeah, like it's weird, but
Right.
context.
It's satire, but you know, it was. Yeah. I also feel like a lot of the pretty much any comedy film in the 90s and early 2000s like just doesn't hold up to social standards now.
Totally.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like upsetting when you go and you watch back like even Anchorman or something, which is not even that old.
Yeah.
You're just like, none of this movie wouldn't ship. Like they can't do this anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah, Rush Hour. Oh my God, Rush Hour 2.
Yeah.
There's a
Or
lot
as
of movies
well,
like
rather.
100%. There was you were talking about Tropic Thunder when all that stuff started on social media the past like 2 or 3 days. The other thing that got posted was his interview that he went on. Who's the bald comedian guy that has podcast, like the biggest podcast?
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe Rogan. Yeah. He went on the Joe Rogan show, and Joe Rogan just like flat out asked him like, "Could you do this movie again?" And he was like, "Well, you could, but I don't think it would work out that well." So it was interesting to hear that. But Robert Downey's in a different world now in terms of money and wealth and all that stuff. So he doesn't need to fucking do anything. He can go make random indie films, and if they fail, that's fine. He's rich as fuck. He don't have to do anything. So yeah. What else? Andy, you listen to a lot. I guess you both listen to a lot of music. I didn't even consider that. Anne, are you listening to a lot of music now?
Always.
Anything new that's on your radar? You guys also are both pretty polar opposites in the music department. What-
Yeah.
What have you been listening to recently? Anything
think-
new good? You
I think
recommend?
most of Tucker's like listening, like your main stuff is directly is the opposite of what, because I listen to a lot of stuff. I listen to a lot of like kind of all over the place from metal to like jazz, and like Beyonce is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But the one thing I don't listen to is like EDM and like electronic music. So
Fair. I mean, I listen to I listen to
I don't like
a lot of metal. You know, like metal. Like I grew up listening to a lot of hard rock and metal, and I still have like a metal playlist of all my favorites. And but yeah, the vast majority of my listening is some subgenre of EDM, from like lo-fi to like hard style. It's
Let's-
just like all over the place.
Let's do a fun experiment. Name some of your favorite metal bands / songs, Jericho, and we're gonna judge them
Okay.
by Anne's face.
Okay. All right.
metal-
Let's start off on one end.
that's too
It's
big of
very
a
wide.
It's very big. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
wide open space, which is great.
All that remains is a favorite of mine. Devil Driver is a favorite of mine. Opeth, Dimmu Borgir, Lamb of God is always good. Honestly, I never got into like the screamo, like core music like that. I liked a lot of like melodic death metal, like Amon Amarth. So I really like, I wanted to be a drummer for the longest time, but I can't keep rhythm. Like I'm not musically talented. So I liked a lot of stuff with like good drums, good like double bass, and still do to this day, but I've not like actively searched. I think the newest metal band that I've listened to is Light the Torch, which is Howard from oh my God, why am I forgetting? Killswitch Engage. He's the old
Yeah.
vocalist. So he went over
Oh,
there.
that's awesome.
And yeah, so I still listen to some new metal, but most of the time it's just like the stuff I listened to in like 2007, 8, all that stuff.
Let's do
Yeah.
the inverse now.
I mean, those are all great. Like you named a lot of really good bands, and I'm kind of the same where I listen to some like screamo stuff, but I like more of the melodic stuff, like you were mentioning Opeth, and one of my favorites that I recently have been listening to a lot is a band called Sluggage, which is like
It's a good
it's
metal.
kind of
Oh, that's a good name.
rugged.
That's a good.
That's a good
Going
to the
fucking
Sluggish
name.
store.
All
Yeah,
the
sludge
songs
metal,
are
okay.
about like slugs, basically.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. It's like a thematic thing.
Where are they from? What?
Where God, I don't know. They're probably somewhere in Europe. I have no idea.
Yeah, I started to say like They're not. Is that like an American thing? That seems very
Interesting.
European.
Yeah, all the song titles are like Crop Killer, Slave Goo World, Transylvanian Fungus. It's like it's a very they're great. I mean, I
I
love
love
this.
it.
Yeah.
I have no idea where they're from. It doesn't even say on the Spotify, but
Huh.
I've been listening to a lot of like Joyner Lucas had an album come out recently, which is rap, hip hop. So I listen to a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Opeth is a big one that I listen to a lot actually.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. Kendrick Lamar is a big one for me too.
Yeah.
And in the outside of metal category, Lamb of God is great. I love Killswitch. I love Killswitch when Howard Jones was the vocalist. I'm not as big on the
What is the?
I don't love the new
I know
guy.
one Killswitch song, and it's like one of my
Yeah.
favorites.
My Curse. You
Yeah.
love it. It's My Curse. You were
Is that-
listening to it one time. I came to your
Mhm.
stream. Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
You specifically like the bridge and chorus
Yes.
of that song.
Yeah.
That's
Yep,
what you
that's
said.
the best part when it's like more melodic than yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I used to listen to a lot in high school. Was I was in like
Yeah.
the Perfect Circle, like Slipknot, like
Oh,
that
yeah.
era of whatever you want to call that.
You know, one of my
music genres are
I'm-
something that never grasped onto me, so
Right.
I just say the bands and let people decide where they're at.
Yeah.
What were we gonna say?
One thing that I'm never gonna get over is I've always wanted to see Rammstein live, and they rarely like tour the U.S. And I bought exorbitantly priced tickets for the Pit of Rammstein in L.A. in September, and there is a 0% chance that is happening.
Yeah.
I have never been so upset about the fact that I can't watch and like they're getting old. There might not be another another tour in the U.S. So I'm just like. I cannot fathom. I was so excited. I cannot fathom a world where I can't go see them, and now it's not gonna happen. So I'm just like,
Yeah,
but-
like it's kind of fucked. Like music events won't really probably happen till 2020 at the earliest.
2021.
Most likely.
2021. Yeah.
Yeah, 2021. Sorry.
Yeah.
One of my favorite, probably my favorite band of all time is Tool.
Yeah.
And every year that they've had a tour, if you guys know Tool, they put out an album like once every 8 years or something like that.
Mhm.
And they don't tour super often. And I have had a problem going to every tour that they've had so far. And this year was the first year that I actually was like, okay, I'm going to go. And I bought tickets for like June or July to go see them. And now at this point, I'm just assuming that I'm not going to be able, they're going to cancel it or they're going to schedule it or something. I don't know.
I got to see them when they were at the Staples Center when they were here. It was it was incredible. And like that's like so I resonate, feel you.
There's always been a problem.
Have you tried his wine, Anne?
I
Keenan's wine?
haven't.
Oh yeah, they do have one.
Yeah.
No. I've seen APC live, but I have not managed to make a Tool concert, and I'm really sad about it because they're my favorite. So
Same with Rage
Okay.
Against. I really want to go see Rage Against play, but
They have a new singer, right? Or is it still the original singer? Rage.
I didn't think they had a new singer.
No.
Is that just something I
think
made up?
That's like the
completely?
core. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's like he's like the
Oh, it's
core
still
component
Sam.
of Rage Against.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, they were gonna do a tour as well with, I think with Deftones, I want to say.
Oh,
And
really?
I love Deftones as well. But I can't remember.
would've
And
been
I
good.
don't know. I think everything's just getting canceled. So.
Is the
Yeah.
Oh,
warp?
Gojira is a really good one too. They're like a French.
Gojira is great. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that name. Before all this started, is the Warp Tour still a thing? Is that still a thing that happens?
Yep.
No.
What?
No, Warp Tour
Oh,
is
it's
canceled.
not?
No,
No,
not
this-
necessarily canceled. I'm just saying, like, is it a thing that exists?
No,
Oh, it's
it
completely
doesn't.
gone.
They stopped doing it for like, it's been like 3 years now or 2 years now that they've stopped doing it.
Really?
Oh,
I don't know why. My friend, I guess my friend. So I had a friend who was in a metal band. He was a lot like Birds, and so he performed at Warped Tour a couple years ago. So I just assumed, like, I don't know how what was the reasoning behind that. That's like the big thing.
It was really
for, like
the
alt
last
metal and
year or
rock.
two that it stopped. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know.
I had no idea.
man.
Warped Tour dead. I think because it's like a traveling, like now there's like Coachella and stuff, right? Where they have like one place and everyone comes from everywhere to them. Whereas Warped
Mhm.
Tour is like a traveling thing.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how expensive that is to keep it going.
Yeah, that's true. It's probably, and I would think, I don't have any actual data for this, but I would think that probably sales are declining for that type of stuff. before all this coronavirus shit started.
I think that
Maybe.
style of music has fallen out of
Yeah,
style. So
it's definitely not like mainstream anymore. That's for sure.
Right.
no.
Yeah, it's you probably still is corn still a thing? Does corn still exist?
I don't know, but Corn would have been fun to see too.
Yeah, it would have been weird. Chat saying yes. I want to do the inverse now that we got Jericho to name some metal bands. Anne, can you please name some EDM acts that you're a fan
I don't
of?
know any. I literally know zero.
Really? You can't name a single one?
Yeah.
If there's
It's
like
hard.
instrumental music that I listen to, it's like instrumental metal music, like Animals as Leaders and that kind of thing.
Fair.
The only ones that I would know would be ones that are like perturbator. I can never say that, which is like
Yeah.
what's that style? What's that called? Where it's like the synth metal or like not synth metal, synth wave. That's
Synthwave,
the word.
yeah.
I know some of that,
Yeah.
like Pilot,
Synthwave
that-
is good.
but other than that, I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I,
Synthwave is a really fun genre.
yeah. I like
Um,
synth.
Yeah. I mean, I'm biased because he's a good friend of mine, but my friend Kazo, he does a ton of music crossovers with metal bands and stuff. Like Under Oath, I think it was Under Oath, and fucking name a couple, but it's all like metal influence. Like his entire live tour, he has Travis Barker's drummer on with him. And like all of it is live drums at the exact same time. So if you wanted to just like see what it might be like to go in, it is as metal as EDM can get, but it's also still a lot. Like it is a lot of,
What's it called?
it's a lot. Kayzo, Kayzo.
AYs, yeah. Okay, I'll look it up later.
What do you guys use to find music? Are you guys like
Ooh,
Spotify?
Brother.
Like what? Well, you've got like more industry side of it, but and where do you,
Well, I mean,
well,
yeah, Ann, go first.
okay. And are you using
I-
Spotify? What do you use?
Yeah, Spotify. I do like the Discover playlists and stuff like that. I look at that all the time.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I've
Mhm.
never been one to just be able to
Discover Weekly.
search for music and like if I want to listen to a song or a band, I know exactly what that song or band is and I want to listen to that and then I'm done. I don't think I'm the type of person that can like
Fair.
listen to stuff because I always get yelled at for switching songs too much. Like if I hear 5 seconds of a song, I won't give it any more time and I'll just swap. So I think that's just where I'm at in terms of music.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spotify is great. Like their algorithm for helping figure out in your Discover Weekly, which is just like random, like a bunch of songs that they've chosen that they think you'll like based on your listening history, or like release radar. So if you're following specific artists or genres, they do a really good job of putting what got released that week in there. If you I can't speak to like other genres, but SoundCloud, a good way to find things you like is to, if you have a song you like, you go to that song. They have a related songs page, and then you can go to that artist page and see the songs that artist has liked in their likes. So that's a good way to discover new music. If you're like, hey, I do like this one artist and style, what is that artist like? You scroll through it and you're good to go. But other than that, and I see people saying like, unless you're a popular artist, Spotify is bad at discovering stuff. No, you're just bad at searching. Their search engine is awful. I just gave you the way to find hidden stuff,
Yeah.
So
It's like you just have to kind of know how to use, like, Google is a great tool. If you don't know how to use it as a tool, then of course you're gonna
Right.
think it's not good, but like it's just on you to like learn how to use it. Like, I mean, the band that I mentioned earlier, Sluggage, they have less than 12,000 monthly listeners. And I found that through like one of the Spotify's like the listening playlists.
There you
Is
go.
that public information? They say how many like
On
listens?
Spotify, yeah. It
Yeah.
says monthly listeners, yeah.
That's cool.
You can go to their about page, see monthly listeners, see their like world rank if they're big enough, the little bio. It's like really, really interesting to be like, they even break it down by which city has the most listeners of that band or artist. So
Oh,
I
wow.
think that's really cool.
That's so useful for the artist to like know where they should go tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is literally
brilliant.
all my friends that tour, they use the Spotify data, and then one of them who streams on Twitch, Cheney Cray, they use her Twitch demographics to figure out, okay, where in the world is the best received tour. So that's
Fuck,
how they
that's
plot
so
out
smart.
their, right?
I had never
Oh.
even considered that.
Tucker, do you like math rock?
Math, right? This is so funny. I've heard of this several times, and give me like a couple suggestions so I can dive into it because
I was
feel like
gonna ask you if you like Tricot, because Tricot is math rock, but they're also a Japanese band,
Oh,
and so I wonder.
ooh.
So it's
No.
TRICO, and I love them. They're great.
Okay, I'll check them out. No, I'm very interested in that.
Yeah.
I do know I can join the conversation, but you're gonna have to give me a second. Bump of Fish, is that a band? Have you guys heard of that?
I don't know, but I'm gonna jump into
I
it.
think Chad, help me out here. Bump of Chicken. Bump of Chicken. That's the name of it. I had the wrong protein. Bump of Chicken.
I love it. What a name.
They're in it. The only reason I know them is because they did a song for a Tales of JRPG a long time ago, like 3 or 4 games ago. So that's the only reason. I can't recommend any of their music apart from that. That's the one Japanese band that I know. Yeah. Tales of Abyss. There you
I
go.
do that a lot too, where you find like one band you like, and then on Spotify you can do the like fans also like, and I'll just go through like all of the bands that are on that like related artists kind of page.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, that also is a good one. Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Dillinger Escape Plan is a great like American math rock band. They're on the heavier side though.
Yeah.
I love them. I have a good story about them actually. Their singer. Well, I went to see, it was Dillinger opening for Deftones, and a lot of people knew who Deftones were, but they didn't really know who Dillinger Escape Plan was, and I loved Dillinger Escape Plan. So I was really excited for this concert, and I was front and center, like maybe 3 or 4 kind of rows back in the like middle, kind of everyone's just standing, and I was singing my heart out. I was going hard, and all the people around me were just kind of standing there. I was having a good time.
Yeah.
And I went in between bands. I went out to get some fresh air, and I was sitting on the curb, and the singer from Dillinger Escape Plan came over to me. Specifically, he came up to me and was just like, "Hey, like, thank you so much for for having a good time and like singing along and everything. That was really awesome." And I was like,
Nice.
That's
I
fucking
was
sick.
fangirling so hard. It was so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was super nice.
Dude, that's awesome when like a musical act sees that you were just losing your mind over them in the audience and then comes out and says like, thank you. That's that's a big deal.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anne, are you a mosher? Do you like to go into the mosh pit? Do you stay away from it?
I did until I got a concussion. And then I stopped. Yeah, I got a pretty bad. And here's the thing is that I would go into the mosh pit, and then the one time I was standing on the outside, I was standing just on the outside ring of the mosh pit, and I don't even I hit my head so hard that I don't remember what happened, but I saw a kid coming toward me. Apparently he knocked me over. My head hit the concrete on the ground, and I woke up halfway outside being carried by the guys who were in my band.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they put me on the curb, and I was like waking up. They took me to the hospital to get my head x-rayed and stuff like that. And that was my worst concussion of 3, I think.
What are they?
Yeah,
now you mentioned it. What are the other 3?
One, I was in gym, and I was the line judge for like volleyball or whatever.
Okay.
Just like in our gym class, and I was standing next to the net thing. And one of the guys went to serve the ball, and he hit the ball, and it hit my head into the metal pole that I was standing next to.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
So it was like so I bounced my head off the pole. And then when I was a kid, my grandpa had me in the front of the shopping cart.
Uh-oh.
And he did that thing where you like run and jump on the cart, and you like go, I don't know, skateboarding kind of.
Yeah.
Only I was sitting in the front of the cart because I was a child, and the cart flipped because my grandpa was like 6'7" or something like that. The cart flipped with me in it. I dislocated my knee and hit my head.
So you've had some experience with hospitals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Tucker, what's the worst? And I mean, I don't know if I know this answer. I was actually thinking if I knew this answer. What's the worst like injury you've suffered, self-inflicted or otherwise?
I mean, I very thankfully, knock on wood, have never broken a bone or gotten a concussion. When I was like 7 or 8, I was riding my bike down a big ass hill that I had in my neighborhood, and we were hauling, and I got the speed wobbles, and I flipped over my bike, and like my lower teeth went through like my bottom lip, and then
Oh
like
yeah,
I got a
I've done
whole
that.
like my whole leg was scratched up and stuff. So
Yeah.
I like went over to my friend's mom house. I opened the door and she looked at me and she was like, "Oh my god." And then like playing soccer in high school, I got headbutt going up for a header, and then my tooth went through my top lip. So I have like a like a chunky top lip over
Weird.
here. And then the scooter accident where no teeth went through anything, but my face caught me. That one was the most inconvenient because like, I can't, the little facial hair I can grow is now gone
Like
on my
took off the
chin, and there's
skin.
like a
Yeah.
permanent scar. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was just awful in general. But, thankfully I haven't broken a bone.
Yeah, those aren't too terrible in the grand scheme of things. I was very accident prone as a kid. I know we're running short on time, so I'll just make a list here real quick with the funny ones. Ran into a parked car.
Nice.
That was a great day. I was on one of those like plastic trikes that you used to have as a kid, and I was turned around talking to my mom because she was screaming at me, and I was just going straight forward. There was a big truck, and so I ran into the exhaust of the truck, knocked myself out. Not necessarily like concussion, but I still have the like right here, one of my eyes, there's a little triangle in it. I got hit in the face with a sledgehammer because I was watching my dad hammer stuff, and I was standing behind him, and he went and hit me in the head.
Ow.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Similar to what Tucker said, I used to be in karate, and we were sparring for like a belt test. I think it was like it was either the first or second degree black belt. You had to fight two people at once, and I wasn't paying attention to the guy on my left, and he front kicked me, and it hit my mouth and took my two front teeth and chopped off almost the front of my tongue. But I finished the fight. I just didn't open my mouth until afterwards, and then it was literally just like a blood explosion right onto my karate outfit. That was a lot of fun.
God damn, dude.
What else? Got bit by a dog when I was 8. Actually, a German Shepherd, funny enough. They took like a giant chunk out of my leg, but I was in shock. So I walked home from it without crying, sat down, and my brother was playing Super Mario Brothers. And I sat there for at least 20 minutes until I passed out and watched him play. And then he realized, apparently, I was told that I like flipped over and he saw a giant chunk of my leg missing. So that was fun. What else? Got a treble hook stuck in my knee when I was fishing once. That was a fun one.
Oh, Jesus.
We had to drive an hour to go to the hospital because we were at a lake in the middle of nowhere. I got it stuck in I hate bees. I have a crazy disposition against like bees and wasps, and it was stuck in a flowering plant that had a bunch. So like if your hook is ever stuck in something, you like use the line and make it real taut and then let it go so it does that. I just went and just flung it like that, and the thing just went straight at my knee and hooked into it. So that was fun. There's a handful of stuff that I'm probably missing. I was very accident prone as a kid. I got my two front teeth knocked out. You know those like big plastic play bins that you used to have as a kid? I had a top of one, and I was holding it like this, and my friend who was also in karate was kicking the edge of it, and he missed the kick but came down on it. So it like seesawed the part that I was holding up to my teeth and knocked them out like this. So that was fun.
Oof.
I had to make an emergency dental thing. I don't know if there's any other like big ones. That's why I don't go outside much.
Yeah, fair. I wouldn't either, brother.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was very accident prone as a kid. So I don't think there's any other ones, at least that I can recall. Anyways, that's how we'll end the show. We'll get the show started, actually. We need to do shout outs. Tucker, I know you got to go do some sponsored stuff,
Yeah.
so we can let you go first if you got to depart quickly.
Sure.
Do some shout outs.
Yeah. Shout out to JP if you guys like very high produced shows with a lot of what does my thing say? Oh my god. Hey, honestly, I do have an anime body pillow. Yeah, JP's has some quality show programming. Also does some really interesting games. He loves Gears Tactics.
Oh,
which
you're
is
doing
odd.
the roll. There you go.
Yeah. And if you guys want to check out Anne is a wonderful Siege player. Definitely not the lowest tier. Incredibly high. And also probably one of the better graphics designers out there, and she does I think you do all your own stuff too, right?
Most of it, yeah.
Most of it. Yeah. So go check Ann out as well.
There you go. And do some shout outs.
Cool. Yeah, Tucker stole what I was going to say about JP, which is that he just produces the most shows on Twitch, I think, out of any single person. So if you guys like tabletop RPGs, JP is the person to go to for all of that content. Tucker, I think, if I consider myself a pretty low energy, laid back FPS gamer, and I think if you are looking for someone who is more high energy and hilarious, then JERICHO is the person to go to.
We take those.
He's so loud he had to build a soundproof booth in his home. That's how loud he is. So.
Yeah, that is true.
You guys forgot to shout out what you're doing after the show. JERICHO, you're doing sponsored stuff. You want to talk about
I'm doing a sponsored. Yeah, I'm doing a sponsored stream with Amazon's new series Upload. DRM is enabled, so if you're not in the US, you won't be able to watch. And if you do want to watch, we're going to be watching the first 2 episodes and playing Valorant and talking about my ideal digital afterlife.
Cool. I'm doing that tomorrow.
Nice. And what are you playing later today?
I'm going to take a little break to go grab a snack because I'm hungry. And then I'm probably going to play some Siege because Siege is great.
Cool. I don't have a shout out card, but I'll say nice things about the two of you. The reason that the show actually came together is I think the two of you both share the idea that you're incredibly blunt and you speak your mind in a industry filled with bullshit. It's a refreshing thing to find that. So that's why I keep you guys around, and I'm glad that you don't spew any bullshit. I can always go to you guys as a barometer on what's going on and get a check-in with real facts, and not get any bullshit back. So thank you guys for both coming on the pre-show. Hope you guys had a good time talking about literally nothing.
It was fun.
It's nice. It was
had a great time, man.
Good. We'll have you back in the future and figure out what we'll talk about then. So that's it for today. We have another show coming up on Monday. DJ Wheat, Day 9, and Shocks are going to be the guest on that one. That'll happen at 4 p.m. Eastern, I believe. You can just head over to thepre.show for VOD information and upcoming shows as well. So that's it. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Let's get started with the show. I got to figure out how to make that. We'll see you guys later.